I hope you're having yourselves a fantastic morning this morning, and hopefully you had a great time hanging out with us at Cafe Kubal this week. We were at Cafe Kubal having really a truly awesome conversation with CNS Athletics Director Tim Bednarski to start off the week. This Monday, July 12th, we are on site, on location at Cafe Kubal at their newest location, which is on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at the Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse, right down the road from CNS, Cicero North Syracuse High School. So great to be able to go out there and spend some time with Tim and really break down what was on the mind of an athletics director during this past year and a half. I layered conversation that went to so many different places. We talked about we spoke about movies, we spoke about the pandemic, we spoke about family. What did he do when he was at home? What are the things that he's tried to pay attention to, that he learned from the pandemic? How did he handle not knowing the information and really not knowing where to go next and what step to take next? I think for me, the conversation of just talking to a real director of athletics here in our community that was going through the real issues of, you're trying to find answers for student athletes, you're trying to find answers for parents, you're trying to find answers for coaches, and there weren't answers, So I think that it was such a very unique conversation to have because of what we've been living and what we've been going through and what we've all kind of been asked to deal with, whether or not we wanted to. And I think it should have taught us a lot. I always say on the show that we should have learned a ton from going through a pandemic. We should learn the value of time. We should learn the value of love. We should learn the value of being around, the people that we care about, not wasting the moments that we have, and to really make it a point to make every second matter. And, I hope that people have learned that. I hope that people have taken that with them. I think some people have, and I'm sure some people haven't. And, that's sad because we need to value each other. We need to value the time that we spend with one another, and how we spend that time is crucial. So I hope that, I'm speaking with you this morning and you're one of those people that's like, yeah, you know what? I spend more time walking. I spend more time with my dog or my cat or my bird or whatever. I do more things with the kids. We play more board games together. Or, I call my grandparents up more and I go to see them a lot more. I mean, whatever it may be, I hope that you're doing it. And I hope that it's sticking. I hope that these things you learned in the pandemic that were positive, I hope that you're utilizing them and really making it a point to keep them going in your life, because I think it's crucial. I think God hit everybody's reset button in this, and I don't think God gave us the pandemic. I think God is an opportunist, and, seeing what this pandemic did to shut everything down and stop all of us, I'm hoping that when it stopped us all, it taught us all something. And if for nothing else, to value the gifts you have, to value the time you have, to value the beautiful blessings that are in your life, and to not waste a second with them, knowing that, at any moment, you could leave this earth, but also at any moment, we could miss out on something great. You know what I mean? We could not see what's right in front of us, and I think we really need to focus our energy on just spending good quality time where it needs to be spent, and I hope that you are. I really do, because I see people with their grandparents, for example, and my grandparents have all passed away, and when I see a grandmother or grandfather, I tell kids all the time, I don't care how old you are as a kid. I don't care if you're 40-something years old. I'm still going to call you a kid. And, if you have your grandparents around, take that time. Love them up. Hug them. Kiss them. Spend time with them. Play cards with them. Listen to them. Hear their story. Hear what they're about, what they've been through, who they are, what makes them special. Know them, because So many of us don't have that opportunity to just pick up the phone and say, hey, Grandma, how you doing today? And I wish that I did. I wish that I could pick up the phone today and say, hi, Gram, you know. And so to the people that can, make sure that you do. And, you know, call your parents, call your grandparents, call your brother, call your sister. Be good to your boyfriends and girlfriends, and, you know, just make the most of the time that you have.
You're wearing the right stuff
because
today.
it's absolutely precious.
Now, is this the new
be
gear?
a good
Because
friend.
These look like very nice
and just
Under
be a good
Armour.
person. I mean, that's the best advice I can give you this morning on Wake Up Call is appreciate what you have. Don't waste a second, and don't think that, you know, it's just going to be there sitting, because it may not be. And, you know, 35 years, I've learned that life just only gets more and more precious and more meaningful. So make it count, okay? Just make it count. Here on today's broadcast on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We are on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage. So however you're connecting with the show, thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us and showing us some love. I greatly and truly appreciate that. And on today's broadcast, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', you know that every other Tuesday we have two huge signature segments we do monthly. So twice a month, bi-weekly, you have On the Mark with Shamarko Thomas, where we pick a topic each week with Syracuse and NFL alum Shamarko Thomas, who has now become a mainstay on the show. We have Sports Ends in a Vowel with Gina Castelli, another mainstay on the show who's been on the show a lot. And now she has a more every other week you can expect her to be here on Tuesdays, so a more, usual kind of habitual role, I should say. So Sports Ends in a Vowel. Gina Castelli will be joining me this morning in a very special topic as well. And we'll finish off the show with the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, serving the community for decades and right down the road from Liverpool High School within walking distance. So a lot of great stuff. Today with Shamarko, we're going to be speaking on something that I think every athlete should listen to, whether you're in elementary school, high school, junior high, college, pro, just finished up pro, finished pro a few years, whatever it may be. He got to go through college and play professional football, and he is going to speak with us about how to save your money, how to make your money last, that if you make it to the professional level and you get that contract, whatever that money is, how to save it, make it last, and build yourself a life and not just a couple years. Great topic. Can't wait to have it. Then we're going to get into my conversation with Gina Castelli, where we're going to speak on, as she has been a longtime coach on the college basketball circuit, we're going to speak with her about how to coach today's student athlete. How do you coach athletes of right now, of today, of this era, which is also another fantastic topic. And then we'll have a topic for you in the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicolli's in just a little bit. So, with that being said, shout out to Cafe Kubal, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, 401 South Salina Street, as well as out in Manlius on 343 Fayette Street, and, of course, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital, and their newest location, where we were yesterday on site, on location, live with CNS Director of Athletics Tim Bednarski, which is the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse, Cafe Kubal's first ever drive-through. So, shout out to Cafe Kubal. Shout out to you. Let's have a great show. Happy to be in the Cafe Kubal studios. This is Wake Up Call, and you are awesome. So, happy you woke up today. Make sure you thank God for that blessing. We'll take a step aside. We'll come back with Shamarko Thomas for On the Mark right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. We're inside the Cafe Kubal studios. You're watching on Facebook Live on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, where it's being shared as well. And, of course, you can find us on YouTube, where we stream live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Once again, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, you are here with us today, and in monpazpopcorn.com is what's popping. The first topic of this Tuesday and every other Tuesday, as we have bi-weekly Shamarko Thomas with us, Syracuse and NFL alum, here with me today, and a close personal friend as well, more than anything else. We have a segment called On the Mark, and every other week, bi-weekly, Shamarko and I get to pick a topic. Today's topic is awesome because it affects every single athlete out there, and it's about how to save money as a professional athlete, how to be smart and take those contracts that look good in the moment and make them last a lifetime. So we have a lot to get into today, and we're going to talk about life in general, as we always do. So let's bring the man on today, Shamarko Thomas. Shamarko, how you doing today?
I'm blessed, I'm grateful, and thankful that you in my life, man, just waking up with a smile on my face, truly. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, brother. You know, you and I talk off the air and on the air, and, you know, battles to fight and things to go through. And I just want to thank you for always being a good friend and always showing up, as you always say it, always showing up on time, and, you know, your positivity in my life and your prayers and all of your good energy. I want to say thank you for all that.
Don't give me the credit, because you know you're the person that helped me the most. I thank you more than anything. You always come on time, you know, and it helps me mold myself and become the helping person. It's you started it off, man. You built me into this character, so I thank you. I thank you truly.
Well, I'm gonna say that you did it first. So, because I saw you on the field doing your thing, and that inspired me. I was like, this guy, whoever stands against him, he really lives that. If God is for me, who can be against me? And, you know, I saw that on damn near every play. The way that you handle yourself, the way that you attacked, you put your whole body on the line. Like I said, I'll never forget that play where you just Supermaned out, jumped, hit the guy in the chest, the tight end, with your head, right with the helmet, and went down on the ground. And I'm thinking, like, this man's going to be, I mean, is he concussed? Is he okay? What's going on? And, I mean, you gave every single second to every single play. And it just told me in my life that I have to appreciate every moment, give everything I have to every moment, don't miss the moment, don't live outside of the moment, and to just be the best I can be. I mean, there are demons at the door, and you taught me how to fight them by looking them straight in the face and being scarier than they are, and being, being that thing, like the power of God is scarier than anything that we could ever be afraid of. And I just, for me, you taught me how to stay focused, and in a den of lions, how to tame them, and if they don't get tamed, how to not be afraid of them. And I give you all the credit for that.
No, man, it's an honor, but I can honestly say, when I needed you, as our friendship has grown, it's like God always brings you on time. You got the right words to say to me to keep me up and keep me pushing forward. And you're a true friend that, I got family that's, not around when I need them, or anybody, So, reality, you have done more for me than I ever done for anybody on the football field or anything. So, I'm honored with the opportunity to be around you, be in your presence, man, get the knowledge from you, and just be guided and inspired by everything you say, man. It's like everything comes on time, and I thank you. I'm so grateful, and I'm truly thankful that you're in my life.
That coming from Shamarko Thomas. Shamarko, I throw it right back to you. So, I do. I appreciate all your words. I appreciate all your kindness and everything. But I learn from the best, and I keep the best. God keeps the best around me. So I appreciate you and who you are and what you've done in my life. We talk about so many different things here on the show, and brought you on here bi-weekly to be in a segment called On the Mark, because I felt that people needed to hear more from you and more of our conversations. So I'm very blessed and thankful that you agreed to do that out of the goodness of your heart, to be here as a mainstay on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and inside the Cafe Kubal studios. And today's topic is about how to save money as a professional athlete, how to make money last. We hear about athletes go pro and they get a $30,000 signing bonus and they spend it in 2 days at Atlantic City, or they get a $50,000, they go buy a car and it's gone. And so or they don't spend it all on one day, but they spend it all by the time they're done and they're 33 years old, 35 years old, and they have no money. We hear these athletes that start in the ghetto, start in a poor neighborhood, get millions of dollars. When they're done, end up back in the same neighborhood, back in the ghetto, back in the same life they had, almost as if they never, ever had a sniff of playing pro. So it's so important to not only get to a point where you have that money to build a better life for yourself, but to make it last. I want to open that up to you because you have been a professional athlete and you have made money, and it's ever important to make sure that money can last a lifetime. So what is your advice, kind of to open it up broad scope, to take a look at how to save money as a professional athlete so that when you're done playing professionally, you could still take care of yourself?
Get out your old mindset. Basically, I was talking to this with my friend yesterday, and we was just talking about it. Financial literacy. When you come from them type backgrounds, the ghetto, or anywhere, they wasn't taught financial literacy. And I feel like when you get that money, I feel like now you got the money to obtain financial literacy, learn and seek it. I feel like people are so caught up in being a football player that they forget that they never had millions before. They never had this situation before. They don't know how to handle money. They think living life and going back and taking care of everybody is the right way, but you got to take care of yourself first to be able to help everybody. You got to invest in something. I feel like our era, or where we come from, is spend instead of invest. and find out what can make my life be after 30 years, after the league, 40 years down the line, you know, because at the end of the day, I was talking about this dude named Grant Cardone. He's a billionaire. He was like, $1 million, people think they're rich, but in 10, 20 years, you go through life, insurance, tragic things happen, you got to pay this bill, you do that. $1 million is going to go, you know what I'm saying? So why not invest your money instead of spending it, you know? Not buy this car, not buy these shoes because everybody got it, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it's a following concept. This person got to get a chain, so I got to get a chain. This person got to get this house, so I got to get this car. No, if you're not in their bracket or in their realm, no, you don't need that car. Invest your money until you get to that level or feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? You can buy that car 10 times, you know what I'm saying, to be able to buy it once. And I feel like financial literacy is the big key to it, man. Learning and be around people that can teach you about financial literacy, teach you about investing and growing. You know, that's the biggest thing. I feel like athletes, when we playing football, we just think we're athletes. We're going to keep getting the money, we'll keep money. It's not going to go nowhere. But you got to think about how many people you're taking care of, how many bills you got, you know, and all them type of things. I know you love your loved ones, but you can't take care of your loved ones if you don't got it no more.
And, you know, and you brought it up, Shamarko, financial literacy. Go into that a little bit deeper, what that truly means. What is financial literacy to you?
Basically, me, honestly, I didn't know this until a couple of years ago when I went to my first basically, I was at this clinic in California for NFL Jam, and they were just breaking all it down, like knowing numbers, you know what I'm saying, what to invest in. Basically, they broke it down as how we do. We spend. We don't invest. We go to a club thinking this money's going to come back. Instead of going to that club or buying this thing, man, look into stocks, look into real estate, look into land that's going to make residual money, you know what I'm saying, like, financial literacy is a whole nother level. We just think, as athletes, like I said, money won't go nowhere. You know, and don't see it that our bank is going down. Or some people can hold on to their money, but it's still going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? It's still going to be the same number. It's going to keep going down. You still got to pay bills. People got to understand, I'd rather invest than spend. And that's why I take in financial literacy. Like, if it could make me residual money, bring in more, why would I take a chance on buying these shoes that depreciate, buying this car that depreciate, when I can buy stock, land, property, you know what I'm saying, that can keep my money going and take care of my family for the rest of their life and build a foundation.
You know, speaking here with Shamarko Thomas, Syracuse and NFL alum, about how to save money as a professional athlete, build for your future, financial literacy. And looking up financial literacy here in the studio this morning, 8 different pieces of it, kind of pieces of the pie that I'm looking at here. And Shamarko, I'm gonna say them, and then we can go into them each at a time and give me your thoughts. The first one, and I don't know if they're in any specific order, but the first one up on here, self-motivation. Just what you can say about that initial starter to say, okay, you know, I need to motivate myself to do the research. I need to motivate myself to know what I need to do to save money, or at least to go out there and start researching, start looking at things, start asking questions. What can you say about step one, so to speak, self-motivation?
Self-motivation, honestly, is to step out your comfort zone. Like I was saying, we come from these neighborhoods. We go back to the same people, you know what I'm saying? And self-motivation to me is stepping out your comfort zone and going to seek the people on them levels to bring that extra confidence that you can learn this and you can do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like football. How do we learn football? Getting around the right coaches, getting around the right people, surrounding ourselves with them. But it became a norm that it was natural. Now you have to make this a norm and make this a confidence that you can be around these people to take your money or take your life to a different, you know what I'm saying, level. And that, I feel like that's the confidence, is getting out your comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? And going to be willing to learn this. Willing to take the time out instead of going to a party or doing all that. Willing to change your mindset. I feel like everybody got a limitation in their mind. Like, all I am is a football player, or I'm an athlete, or I got money. It's like, no, it's more out there for you. Build that confidence to want more for not you, want more for your family. And I feel like that's where it is definitely just getting out your comfort zone.
And the second one, budget planning. What you can say about that is we talk about financial literacy coming from someone who has lived the world of being a professional athlete and learning how to make his money last. Shamarko Thomas here with us this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Part number 2 here, budget planning.
Know what you make and know how you supposed to live. You know, like basically, like me, I used to store 40-50% away. You know what I'm saying? Before I spend any money, I will store 40-50% away that I won't touch at all. Every time I get a check, I get a check. You know what I'm saying? And me learning that, realize how much I save. You know what I'm saying? I save more than I spend. You know what I'm saying? And that was the understanding of everything I was going through. You know what I'm saying? Like at first, when I first got in the league, you know, I was a young cat. I was just boom, spending money. Then when you look at that bank account, you know what I'm saying, the off-season come, you know what I'm saying, and I still have money because I'm not a spender. I'm more of an introvert. I stay in the house. But when I go out, I spend. But basically, I didn't like the number I had my rookie year. So I had to sit back and analyze who I want to be in the future. That's what people don't think. Like, football doesn't last that long. You know what I'm saying? It lasts long, 10, 15 years. That's not long. That's not your life. That's literally, you know what I'm saying, 15 years is not your whole life. That's 35, 40. You still got more life to live. And if you break it down and put 40%, 50% away, you know what I'm saying, and break it down for your bills and do it, and don't live beyond your means. That's the biggest thing. Do not live beyond your means, and you'll be okay.
You know, and like you said, budget planning. A lot of people don't like to do that, right? You know, you like you said, and Kevin Hart's joked about it in a lot of his comedy routines. Is, you know, he's like, I hang out with my athlete friends, and they buy this, they buy bottles, I got to buy bottles. They buy this, I got to buy that. And trying to keep up and not having a budget. I think some people don't even want to talk about a budget because it makes them feel like they're punishing themselves. And, I'm not letting myself do this. I'm not letting myself have this. But, Shamarko, a budget keeps you within your means. If you're bringing in $3,000 a month and your bills are $1,500, then you can't spend $4,000 and not, you know, have any money to pay your bills and then not have any money for, I mean, it's just and I've talked to people about this before. I'm like, how much money do you have coming in? They're like, oh, about $1,400. I said, how much are your bills? They're like, around $1,500. Okay, so you're already at negative $100 and you just went out and you just spent money and you just went on vacation and you just did this. So how are you going to pay your bills this month? Well, I'm going to pay these 3, but I'm not going to pay these other ones. How can you not be paying your bills right now? What do you mean you're not going to pay it? So, you know, budget planning, all it is saying, this is what I'm making, this is what is being taken out from what I'm making, what am I left with, and what am I going to do with this? You know, do I need to, I mean, one of the biggest things in budget planning, and I know that, and actually it brings us into number 3, consumption habits. You know, what are we consuming? What are our habits? I'll start this one off and then hand it off to you. I know, unfortunately, in a very true way, when you go out to eat, and, you know, I love to cook, but for whatever reason, I'll find myself going out to eat and going out to eat and going out to eat. And I looked at money one year, and I'm not even kidding a little bit. When you look at the amount of money you spend, you know, let's say you're a married couple. Or you're dating. Let's say you're dating. Okay, so you're dating. You go out on dates, and you guys go out more than you cook at home. And let's say you go out 4 to 5 times a week, or whatever it may be. The money that you spend, and it's not a joke. This is not a drill. I've looking at money like going out to eat in a month, and said to myself, I spent $1,000. I spent $500. I spent $800. You compound that over time and you multiply that and you say, okay, I spent, you know, let's say $800 this month going out. When you multiply that and you break it down, that's $9,600 a year. That's almost $10,000 a year that you spent going out to eat. Like $10,000 going out to eat. And I'm not saying don't go out to eat. Obviously, I'm saying go out to eat. There's a lot of great places to go out to eat, and they're on your screen right now. But I'm saying think about just budget planning and really breaking it down and looking at your budget and saying to yourself, can I go out to eat twice a week? Can I go out to eat 9 times a week? Can I go out to eat once a week? Whatever it may be. But when I broke it down and I looked at it, I was like, I spent $10,000 eating out this year. And, you know, I mean, that just, it made me want to vomit. And so, like, I mean, you look at that and consumption habits, you know, just what you can say about number 3 on this list.
Know like you said, you gotta know yourself at the end of the day and know what you bring in, your income and all that. And I'll put it. Me personally, I'm not outside. I don't eat out all the time. Like, you know me, I'm an introvert, so I can cook all day. But and the worst thing is your bad habits. That I feel like in budgeting, the worst part of you is your bad habit because it's hard to get rid of. And no matter how much money you got, you will always tend to figure out a way to get to your bad habits. Now, you're not even mess up the bill or anything. Like, for instance, I got a friend, you know, and his bad habit is coffee. You know what I'm saying? He always complains about his bills. It's like, bro, you know how many coffees you buy a day? You know what I'm saying? Like, you go to Starbucks literally 2 times, 3 times a day, but you complain about a bill. You complain you don't have this or that. And it's like, you got to sometimes let go of that bad habit. Write down the things and really see for what it is and truly go through with the process. Like, me, if I got a bad habit and I'm in a situation, that habit is erased. Because at the end of the day, I feel like if I get myself together, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, in the long run, like you said, $10,000 worth of food, you know what I'm saying, I can be able to, not say it's a bad habit for me is eating ice cream, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love ice cream sometimes. I can sit there, man, if I, like, in the off season, but every year as the season's over, I get a whole thing of ice cream, eat it to myself, you know? And thinking about going to the store and buying that over and over and over, like you said, knowing that if I had a bill to pay or if I'm in a situation I can't pay my card and all that, I'm the type of person to shut it off because this is more important. Realize what is more important. Is this bad habit more important than you losing a car, a house, or losing anything? You know what I'm saying? Not taking care of your family, not taking care of the situation you need at hand. You know what I'm saying? It's prioritizing. You got to know what's the most important priority, you know, and that's what I feel about that.
Yeah, you know, and I agree with this as well. You know, I think, you know, it's the habits. You know, there's nothing wrong with going to you know, eat out and have a nice time out and whatnot and go on dates and whatnot. It's just about it's about how often you're doing things. Like, I was spending a lot of money doing that. Other people I know, they spend a lot of money buying shoes, buying hats, you know, buying sneakers. I mean, somebody that gets a stipend in, you know, college, and I'm like, and everybody goes and buys groceries, and this person buys sneakers, and they have no money for food. You know, it's you have to sit back and think to yourself. And I've done this with adults before, or people that I thought were adults, and I've sat across, you know, a table from somebody and said, "What? Okay, so you went out and you partied." And you got, you know, you drank and you had fun, whatever. You paid for all these mixed drinks and stuff. And how much did you spend? Oh, you know, I spent $200. So I spent $800. You know, I spent $500. And I mean, I worked with people down in Florida that worked 80 some odd hours a week. They made more money than all of us. And they spent the money in 3 days at the club. 3 days just drinking. And I'm sitting here going to myself, like, you made like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what we made back then. But so you made, you know, arguably $800 this week. Maybe, you know, you get $700 of that $800. You spent $700 in 3 days on beer and liquor. You know, and so to me, it's, you have to think about, it's not saying don't have a drink. It's not saying don't go out to eat. It's not saying don't go on vacation. It's saying, what are your habits? When you have, you know, I've done this. You know, I collect stuff, and you know, I appreciate like Marvel and DC and all that. And I looked at the stuff that I had, and I'm like, I don't even know half the stuff that I have. Do I need this? And when you come to that point, I'm like, I could sell this and put this in my savings, and then utilize that for my future children. that's when you start, you look at your consumption habits and you start to figure it out. And we're going to get to number 5 in a second here, which goes into that. But number 4, debts administration. Debt. Sometimes, I have a home. So obviously that's a debt that exists and takes time to go. But debts administration, credit cards. How many credit cards do you have? What is your credit card debt? Is it $10,000? Is it $500? Is it something you can pay off today? Or why aren't you paying it off? Because, to get rid of the interest. Did you do your research? Do you know what cards you have? Do you know the interest they have? Do you get money back for spending on them? Do you take your credit cards and do you have a thing where you're not just spending what you think is free money, but you're using your card? You're getting the cash back and the savings and the discounts by using the card and then paying it off the whole, balance every month. So you had the money, but you're using the card to gain the benefits, and then you're paying the money off. So you don't owe anything on your credit card. You don't have any interest. You don't have any debt. Some people get cards to get perks. Some people get cards to use money that they don't have. There's a difference between, well, I have $100, but I put it on my American Express, got all these points for travel, and then I paid the $100 immediately, and now I have nothing on my balance. Or I spent the $100 on my American Express, and then I spent $150, and then I spent $50, and then I spent $10, and then I spent $20, but I don't have any of that money. There's a big difference between the two, so let's get into it. Debts administration. People that think that credit cards mean that you have free money from the government.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, not at all. You're going to live your lifetime, keep penning and living in debt your whole life. Me, honestly, I don't got a credit card. I give that to my wife. You handle that. And me as a person, I know myself. You know what I'm saying? I know that I like things. I know I like doing all that stuff. I put myself in a situation where, like Tracy tell me, if you know yourself, don't put yourself in that predicament. Like, for instance, I had a lot of shoes. I used to buy a lot of shoes. I didn't have it as a young kid. But now it's like, I don't even wear these shoes. And like you said, I'd rather sell it and invest and put it in the savings, or, you know what I'm saying, I've been carry my credit card going out. I'd rather have cash in my hand, you know what I'm saying, that I know I can spend. Like, I don't put myself in them scenarios to even swipe that card, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know myself. Like, I don't know how to spend. I know myself. Like, I'm not a big, I don't know. I can never say that because I'm not a big spender. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that type of guy.
Yeah, and I think it's smart to understand credit cards build credit, but they also build debt if you're not smart about how you use them. Speaking here with Shamarko Thomas, Syracuse and NFL alum, about how to save money, financial literacy. Everybody in general, not even athletes, but everyone in and out of the sports world, that's why Wake Up Call is where sports meets life, should be listening to this because it's about taking care of yourself tomorrow. I always, I have these things where I say present Dan and future Dan thanks past Dan, because there's things that I do in my past that end up helping me in my present and in my future, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Dan, for that, because I didn't think about it. And, and I actually said it to myself coming into the studio today. Today is the 13th of the month. I had a bill that was always due on the 13th of the month. I paid it off. And I woke up this morning and I go, doesn't it feel so good to not have to pay that furniture bill anymore? Like, I literally said that to myself on the way into the show today. It's the 13th, and I normally had to spend money, and I don't. So there's beauty to that. Debts administration. Number 5 is savings. I know some of us don't have a ton, but I tell anybody, you got $1 in savings, you got $10 in savings, you got $100 in savings, you got bonds, you got stocks, whatever it is. If you have something in savings that you don't like, my savings does not exist. That's how I treat it. It doesn't exist. It's there, but I don't think about it hardly ever. It doesn't exist. I don't want to touch it. I don't know it. It's just there. Let it be what it is. Speak on savings, Shamarko. Having anything. You don't have to have 10 grand, but you got 2 grand. Maybe you got $500. Something if the car breaks down. Something if the roof needs fixing. Something if the kid needs daycare. Something to help you in an emergency.
Exactly. Me, like I was saying earlier, when I get any type of money, it don't matter if it's $100, $400, $500,000, $50,000. I'm putting at least 40 to 50% in my savings. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm putting something away because, like you said, emergencies. People don't think about that. And have a savings that you cannot swipe the card. It's not the same access as your check-ins. Because at the end of the day, if it's in your eye and it's in your visual, you're going to always try to put it in there. You're always going to try to, okay, I can put this in there. I can put a little bit in there. And I can go, I need this for this. I'm going to take it out of my savings. No, literally have a savings that you don't have a card to. Like, I'm straight. Like, I will get this when I need it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I live it as. Like, I always gotta put something away. Whatever I get, $100, $200, $1,000, you know what I'm saying, 3,000, I'm putting at least every 40% away. You know what I'm saying? On each and every amount I get. So I feel like savings is the ultimate thing, and I feel like you shouldn't have cards should not be actors. You know what I'm saying? It's hard in this world when you have your checkers and your savings right there. Like, I used to be that guy back in the day, like when I was in college. You know, I used to have, we didn't get that much money, and I used to put some away. But then, you don't got that much money. You've been spending, going out to eat, doing all that stuff, and you looking at saying, I got a little money. I can take about $100. And then it's going to start happening every other day. And then you're going to start looking at your savings going down. So I feel like you should have an inactive card with it. You know what I'm saying? Go to the bank, deposit that 40%, do all that, and just let it stack up, man. See where at the end of 2, 5, 10 years ago. And that's the mentality of savings.
Yeah, we have a message here, Brian weighing in saying, value over tangible things. Money only buys money things, but value is way more valuable. You know, to understand, I mean, I just did it in my house. I took an inventory. I went around my house and I said, I don't need this stuff. It looks good, like I'll use this for a set, or I'll use this for this, or I'll use this for a show, but I don't need it. And, so am I going to keep it for my kids, or am I going to sell it? I don't need it. And I think that that's very important to, have these moments where we realize what we need and what we don't need. It's one of those things like in my garage. If there's something in my garage, I've been in my house for 4 years, more than 4 years. If I've been in my house this long and something's in my garage that I haven't taken and brought into my house, I don't need it. I don't even know that I have it. So, and we sometimes we feel like, I can look around my studio right now and go, okay, well, I can find at least one thing in my studio I didn't need to buy. And I'm staring at it right now. So, you can just see that and say to yourself, okay, well, you know what? Then what am I going to do with this? Can I give it to Goodwill? Is it something that, is an electronic? Do I want to sell it on eBay? What do I want to do? Do I want to bring it to the church? What can I do with this stuff to get rid of this stuff? Because I don't need this stuff. And see, my thing is I collect sports cards and comic books and collectibles like toys and action figure stuff.
That stuff won't be worth a lot.
Right, so that stuff's worth something. So when I don't need it, what I'm training my brain to do is to stare at it and go, that's your kid. That's part of your kid's tuition to college, or it's getting dust on your shelf.
You said the most important thing. You said like you buy stuff that's gonna be more in the long run. It's an investment for your kid, and I feel like that's what people should realize. When you buy stuff, see if it's gonna be more in the long run. Can you go sell this and then you can get more out of it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's where I'm at in my life. Like, if I buy something, it's not just to buy it. Like, if I buy a chain or something, or anything, it's going to be gold where I know I can get my return or more in it. If I buy land, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not on that just buying just to buy no more. I'm on what can this help me in the future at?
Yeah, and I tell people that. I'm like, listen, I buy sports cards. Now they're hard to get. So they were hard to get. Now they're harder to get. I went on this eBay thing back, a couple of years ago. But now I have all these cards. I got rookie patch autos. I have, autograph cards, patch cards, rookie patch auto cards. I have cards that are numbered to 50 in the world, 20 in the world, 100 in the world. And so to me, it's like, I can get rid of these. I don't need them. There's some of them I want to keep, but there's some of these I look at, like my uncle gave me a Nolan Ryan. I'm never getting rid of that. But I got a bunch of Saquon Barkleys. I got Christian McCaffreys. I got Leonard Fournette's, for days. And, if somebody wants that card, listen, in my in my possession, it's, and if I don't want to keep it in my possession, I have no connection to it. It's worth nothing. But online, it could be worth $100, $20, $5. And people say, "Oh man, I only got $650 for it." It's $650 you didn't have. Go put it in your savings. So, take the money and do something with it. Take this stuff you have and do something with it. I am happy that what I enjoy collecting builds over time. I didn't know comic books were going to be worth stuff, but they are. In collectibles, I bought them kind of knowing they would be worth something. And so, in the here and now I have. But I look at this and I say, I have collectibles, comic books, and cards. All three of these things are investments that can pay me off down the road. I set myself up for my future by accident and now on purpose. And so, but now the question is, okay, what am I getting rid of? Because it's great to talk about it, but now I have to do something. You have to enact the plan. So, number 6, risks management. Because enacting a plan, having that money, having that savings, it's important. Why? Risks management. Looking at these things, when you're taking a risk, when you're putting something out there, when you're investing in something, when you are, listen, calculated risks are good risks. If you do not take a risk in life, you're not going to gain anything. They say high risk, high reward, right? If I didn't take a risk starting my business with 27 cents in my pocket and $103 in my bank account, I'm not a business owner 9 years later. But there's also risks that you have to look at and say, okay, well, maybe that's not smart. I had the risk of staying at the radio station I was at, making peanuts on the dollar, having to give my bosses 90% of my earnings when they've done none of the work. And when I raised 30 grand to take home $3,000 a year off the $30,000 a year and give my boss $29,000 for sitting at his desk. So there's risk management. Do I stay here and do this knowing that this is, what it is? And I've had to do this. I had to do this at 26 years old to look at my contract and say, my bosses want 90% of my money, but I'm going to do 100% of the work. That's ridiculous. That's insane. Or when I had, to sign a contract and the law didn't make sense within the contract and I questioned it and the people that were trying to sign me on were pissed off and acting like I was annoying them, that I had a confusion here. But God forbid I didn't take that clause out of the contract and that clause was enacted, I was going to be totally playing defense. And, so it's, risk management. Looking at your risk, looking at what you're looking to do, where you want to invest, where do you want to get a house, where do you want to do this, where do you want to do that, but understanding the risk that you're taking. My calculated risk to stay at the radio station I was at would have been one of the dumbest moves in my life. But my calculated risk of starting my own company, to a lot of people, that was dumb. But I saw the value. I saw down the road. Down the road at the radio station, I was going to be getting food stamps. Down the road at my business, I own my own house. So risk management, go into that a little bit, Shamarko.
Exactly what you said, though. You identified the potential risk in advance. If you never identified them, you've been on food stamps. Like, that's in anything you do. Like, you had to sit down, look at your contract, break it down. Some people just sign it just because, oh, I'm on this, I'm on that. They didn't identify in advance what can possibly go on, and that saves you from that curve of going through the struggle, going through, the trials and tribulations. It's basically me. I think it's just being precautionary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always, in anything, if I didn't know it, I got my lawyers on it, or show broke it down to me, and that's what you did by yourself, and that's amazing. You know what I'm saying? You broke it down by yourself, right? Your contract and everything.
Yeah, I sat down with my contract and said, This is insane. It was like my boss said to me, you're going to do 100% of the work. we're not going to promote you. We're not going to put any commercials up about you. We're not going to put you on a billboard. We're not going to put you on the website. We're not going to talk about you. We're not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. You're going to have to gain all your clients by yourself. We're not going to help you gain those clients. Then of that money that you make, 100% of the money that you bring in, you brought in by yourself. We're going to take 85% of the money you brought in. You're going to get 15%, and we're going to pay you $8 an hour, but we're only going to pay you for 4 hours a week. So you're going to make $32 before taxes a week. We're going to pay you bi-weekly, and we're going to take 85% of your earnings. And then the next year they said, you know what, we're going to take 90% of your earnings.
No, but you sat back and you analyzed and you took the steps in advance to help yourself in the future. And that's what I really think it is, man. If you don't take the steps or take that risk to be, I put a precautionary and analyze what's going on in the big picture, that you would have been stuck in that situation. You know, you would have been stuck working for somebody else, not living out your dream and the potential that you have. And man, you made the best choice. You made the best choice.
Well, and that's the thing. Speaking here with Shamarko Thomas, Syracuse and NFL alum, about financial literacy and helping people plan in and out of the sports world about their future here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. I mean, what I had to do was to literally, I mean, this was the dumbest thing in the world for somebody to actually say this to me as a human being and think that I was going to say yes. But to think about the amount of money that I would have to make just to make peanuts. And when I was going through and I was looking at this, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me break it down for myself. So what I did was I took my you take a calculator and you say, okay, they want to take 90% of my earnings, so I'm only going to get 10% of my earnings. So in order for me to make $30,000 a year, I have to bring in $300,000. So I have to bring in $300,000. My bosses are going to get $270,000 to do absolutely nothing, to pick their nose at their desk, and I'm gonna make $30,000 after making $300,000. And I said to myself, can I make $300,000? And I was and I was 2 days a week, and I was 2 hours a day. So I said, in 4 hours time, how do I make $300,000? Am I going to find somebody that's going to spend $50,000 on this? No. Am I going to find somebody that's going to spend $100,000 to do this? No. Am I going to justify this? No. And I had already ran out of space because I had already sold my clients, and so I didn't have the space to do it. So I said to myself, I will never, in order for me to make $10,000 a year, I have to make $100,000 a year because I'm only going to get 10% of it. I don't think I'm going to make $100,000 a year doing this way. So, and I'm only going to get $10,000. So, I'm going to be behind the eight ball at all times. If I make $50,000 and I'm like, oh, I'm making $50,000, I'm not making $50,000, I'm making $5,000. So I had to break it down to myself and say, they made this number so astronomical that I will, as you said, I will never get ahead. I will never be okay. So I started my own company, and I make 100% of my income, and I get to do with it what I want. Do I want to invest? Do I want to put it in savings? Do I want to go on a trip? What do I want to do with the money that I make? And I reinvest it. I tell people all the time, I reinvest. I don't have to go to Charlotte and cover this event. I don't have to go to Orlando and do this. I don't have to cover this tournament and do this and do that. And people say, well, do they pay you to do it? No. Does a team pay you to fly out to cover their game? No. Well, what do? I take the money that comes into my company and I reinvest it, and I say to my partners that I work with, I say, hey, listen, I care so much about my product and my brand, and you're connected to my brand. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to spend $1,000 to cover this Final Four because I'm going to be on site on location. And when I'm on site on location at this Final Four, I stand to gain this many more listeners. I stand to gain this many more viewers. I stand to gain this much more. So I'm putting more value into you. So yeah, I'm spending your money that I could have went out and bought myself, 5 pairs of Jordans. But instead I decided to go down to Atlanta, Georgia and cover this tournament, which is going to help you in the long run because it builds my credibility. And if my credibility is built, then your credibility working with me is built, and more people have eyes on me, so they have more eyes on you. So I'm helping you by reinvesting your money in something I think is important. It's just, if you think it through, it makes sense. And I'm just one of those people that always desires to find a way to help as many people as I can. So I say to myself, yes, it would be great to go to this tournament. It would be phenomenal to go to this tournament. What does it do for my partners? What does it do for my brand? What does it do for me? How does it expose me? How does it build me? And looking back on the decisions that I've made and the work that I put in and the time that I put in, for me, yes, I could have put that money and paid off this bill, and I could have done this and done that, but I reinvested it into my company, which built the brand of my company, which built the respect of my company, which now my company, 9 years in, has almost 20 clients, where at the beginning we had 1 or 2. So I'm looking at this now saying, yeah, okay, I spent $1,000 to cover that Final Four. I could have put that toward my credit card bill, but spending that $1,000 to do that Final Four helped build my credibility, which ultimately built my exposure, which ultimately built my listenership and my viewership and my readership, which ultimately got more people to know what I was doing, which helped me to learn about this business, which helped this business owner to know me before I walked through the door, which got me this client, that got me this client, that got me that client. So yes, I didn't spend that $1,000 on my credit card, but now I have an extra 10 grand to spend on my credit card because of the work that I put in.
That's real. That's real. And that's in any sport, like you gotta think about, like when you're talking about contracts and investing and all that stuff, like boxing. They just sign every kid, you get it, rapping or anything, every kid get that $1 million contract. But they don't see the little small prints that this person's getting this much percentage, this person's getting this, you gotta pay that, you gotta pay that. And you took the initiative, because you know financial literacy, to break it down and analyze and sit back and thought about your future. And I feel like that's what it takes as an athlete or anything you're doing. When somebody brings you a contract, they don't sign it because you see the big dollar. Because at the end of the day, you got to understand, they're in this position for a reason. You know what I'm saying? They give you this contract for a reason and hoping that you don't see the small prints. And so I understand you totally, you know what I'm saying? And you took the advantage of the situation. And you, man, look how you are now, man. It's a blessing to see how you did it, and people can learn from this. And me even, as a young kid, when you sign them contracts and stuff, you just see millions of dollars, not the fine print that, you know what I'm saying, all these taxes that's coming out. Or you're not getting as much as you get, you are, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not getting much as your potential, you know what I'm saying? So when you break it down and analyze, you got financial literacy, man, it's a whole nother level, because you took your platform to a whole nother level. Probably where they didn't think you would know this knowledge at that time, you already knew that your plans and your futures and you knew your priorities. And that's what I think people need to understand. You got to separate what you really want now from your real priorities in the future. You know what I'm saying? What you want and vision in the big picture.
Yeah, because for me, do I want a bunch of action figures? I mean, there's a couple I like, but do I want a bunch of action figures sitting on my mantle or sitting in a box, or sweating trying to figure out how to pay for my child's education? Or do I want to say, hey, you know what? I'm so happy 5 years ago I sold this, I put this away, I put it in my savings, I sold it, I invested it, and now I have it. Now I have money for my kids. And I am that person that at like 15 years old was like, I want to pay for my kids' college tuition. I want to be able to, I don't want to have to, but I want to be able to. I don't want a kid that's going to say, Dad, pay for me to do this, that, and the other. But if I can, then, I busted my butt in school. I didn't have a ton of money, saved up, but I busted my butt. I had 98 out of 100 average as a junior. And, we did it that way. And, instead of out of 4.0, whatever, in high school, we did it out of 100. And I had 98 as a junior, and I pushed myself. I got a presidential scholarship from the school that we were in that was given by our president. I got money from the place I was working at for my books. I never had to pay for my books. And so I got all this money, and then I saved it, and I raised like $3,000 or $4,000 that was in a checking account for me. If I wanted to go out to eat, if I wanted to do something with my friends, if I wanted to go to the movies, if I wanted to go to on a vacation. So that $3,000 to $4,000 lasted me almost 4 years of college, because I didn't jump into it as a freshman and spend $1,000 on clothes and $2,000. So I used it, and up until I was a senior, and it like ran out at one point, I was like, I've gone on I've gone on a Disney trip with this and spent $500. I went to the movies and spent $10. And it was one of those things where, my dad was kind of like, hey, you want to do something extracurricular with your life? That's on your money. We're going to apply for, a student loan. You worked your butt off. You got this scholarship, and we're going to make it, work amidst all this. And, my parents helped in that respect because they had the means to, but I also had a scholarship that was like $10,000 a year. On top of that, my books, it gave me $750. And if my books were less than that, then I put that money in my checking account. So, it was the thought process of, yeah, I could have been better. There's certain things I didn't have to do. There's certain things I didn't have to buy. But I worked to have something set because I wanted, and I was always like that as a kid. If you went into one of my drawers in this like secret hiding spot, I had a couple bucks. I always had like $1 or a $2 bill or a bunch of 50-cent pieces. God forbid something happened, I got $4. I got $3 to buy candy. I had something hidden away as a kid, and some of the stuff that I hid as a child, I still have at 35 years old. I still have a thing full of 50-cent pieces that my grandfather gave me that I didn't touch from 30 years ago. And
you talk about change, that's the craziest thing. That's my grandma told me that. Like, collect money, like coins, like when you spend some, keep the change and put it in the you see how you ever seen like the filtered blue containers, them big things?
Yeah.
So that's what I do since I'm younger. It's like a habit now, like collecting coins, collecting my change, or having a box that I tape up and I say I see it January 1st and I just put dollars or something. Every time I get spare change, I put it in there. And you'll be surprised how much you get when they add up.
Oh yeah, I did that. I got a jar, and I went in it, and there was over $20 in it, and I was like, heck yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
you would never know. You would never know until you try.
No, and I did that too. Somebody paid me back for something or something like that. Gave me like $11 and change, and I threw it in my car in a Ziploc bag. And whenever I was going through tolls, I used it for tolls. And then it was an emergency thing. Oh my gosh, I forgot to stop to get $5 in tolls. I'm going over this bridge. Oh yeah, I remember I have that $10 bill. So you set yourself. I still to this day I have a change bag in my car. I have 2 different sets of change things in my car that I put as an emergency fund, and it's in there. When I go on vacation and I know places that have tolls, I take the bag. It's like a zipped up thing. You can like hook it to your hip and stuff, and I throw it in the car, so it's in like the rental car, and then I unzip it, and I'm like, okay, I forgot that I needed quarters. Oh, I have 5 of them right here. So, yeah, you always, again, past Shamarko, past Dan helps out future Dan, future Shamarko. You have to set yourself up for the future, be it putting something in putting change in a jar, or knowing that what you're buying today you could invest in tomorrow. You buy sneakers, they lose value from the moment you start wearing them. You buy a collectible, you leave it in the box, Spider-Man gets big, that thing you paid $20 for, now it's worth $300. So it's what you're spending money on, and it's, are you buying something that depreciates, or are you buying something that can gain value? Because depreciating in value, I mean, there's certain things, the day you take the car off the lot, it depreciates in value. But when you buy a comic book and it's pristine and you leave it and you don't touch it and you don't mess with it and the corners are all nice and you leave it in a thing, and then they make a movie about Carnage and you go look up and you say, I spent $150 on this comic book and it's worth $950 today. Well, you know what? Do I need that $800? Can I put that somewhere? So, it's the question of what you're doing with what you have, and what I've invested in a unique way of investing. Number 7 on the list is investments, and outside of buying something that can obviously grow in value, there's also the investments of buying into the stock market and different things like that. So what can you say about number 7, Shamarko, investments?
I'm already on that. Investing in stocks. I'm on Bitcoin. It's the best thing, man. It's good for younger people. You know what I'm saying? Cause it's crazy because it's an app. Back in the day when you had to invest in stocks, you had to do it differently. It's an app. And I feel like, man, that's where I feel like if you're going to invest in stocks, man, you got to be willing to let it sit. no matter if it goes up and down. You know what I'm saying? You gotta let it sit and let it grow. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I put money in Bitcoins. I put money in crypto. I'm not looking at my list right now. So you know, I ain't gonna lie. At first, I was scared because you know when you put money in something and you see it drop,
yeah,
it hurts your heart. but I got it everything. I got Bitcoin, Ethereum. I got bond bridges, US. I got US coins. I got all crypto. So I feel like for not just adults or anybody, I feel like any young kids and everything, if you want to learn how to save your money or take chances on your money to grow to another level, bro, these people are giving you the opportunity through your phone. Like, through your phone. And I feel like stocks is amazing.
Yeah, you know, and I have people in my family that are good at it. And, you know, they've said, I want to talk about it. And that's something I need to talk about. So, you know, you need to educate yourself. And this is a place where I could be better, is in investments and, you know, the stock market, making money, grow that way. And number 8, Shamarko, the final one on financial literacy, retirement plans and insurances. Lord knows I can be a lot better on a retirement plan. And as a business owner, when you're working day to day and you're building, I don't know where 9 years went. And here we are 9 years in and heading toward year number 10, retirement plans and insurances, taking the time to say, okay, you know what? What am I doing? Where do I plan my retirement to be? Is it in the stocks that I bought? Is it in the stuff that I can sell that you know is gaining value? Is my retirement plan built within my checking and savings accounts? Do I have money in there that I'm never planning to use? Where am I going to retire? How am I going to retire? What am I basing my retirement on? And I think a lot of people miss the boat on this one.
Yeah, that's true. That's like me right now. I'm starting to get into that too. We're on the same thing, you know. I feel like me retiring is, how I put it, I got like a billionaire mindset. Like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna retire until I have a couple billion in my life. You know what I'm saying? And that's me investing in land, stock. You know what I'm saying? Anything. Basically, I want my kids to have. I want them. If I retire, my kids gonna have 4 or 5 lands apiece. You know what I'm saying? Or 4 or 5 stocks that's over this and all that. So the game plan on it is just writing it down and checking your savings and prioritizing, man, and seeing where you at right now and how can you build that longevity and residual money.
Yeah, and it's, you know, being smart, planning for your future. We brought you through today on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, something that every athlete should listen to, every doctor, every lawyer, every janitor, every you know, everybody everywhere, seriously, every broadcaster, every actor, actress, musician, everyone that helps out the youth and works inside of schools and whatnot, we should all benefit from this conversation of financial literacy. Here this morning on the mark with Shamarko Thomas, Syracuse and NFL alum. Shamarko, as always, thank you so much. I mean, this conversation, which was so multi-layered and so important to have about finances, and something that, you know, athletes don't have the education on and people in general don't have the education on. We had this conversation and it felt like 5 minutes, and yet we've gone an hour here. So, you know, I want to thank you for talking about this, because it's invigorated me, and hopefully it's invigorated people to start doing their research and taking care of themselves a little bit better today.
No, definitely, man. It helped me identify little things that you said that make me gonna go. You just made me print out so much, simply as more budget papers. I got literally, if I can face it right now, I'm printing out stuff. I'm looking at stuff while we're doing this, and I thank you for even bringing this topic, because at the end of the day, like I said, when I was younger, I wasn't thinking about that. I always thought about my future, but just breaking it down the aspect you did, it's helping me too. So I thank you.
Well, you know, hopefully, I mean, we help each other, and hopefully we've helped you this morning on financial literacy. We talk about millions of dollars in the sports world being given to coaches and players, but we don't talk about where that money goes and how to spend that money. and nobody cares about where it goes after the fact. And, in my life, in Shamarko's life, from all different looks of the world, whatever you're doing for a living, you have to understand that you're not only planning for yourself today, you're planning for yourself tomorrow. And if you want to take care of your future, you have to really root yourself in good habits today to help you when you need it. You never know when that rainy day fund is going to come in. And so many of us are the people saying, I wish I did this. I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Well, don't shoulda, woulda, coulda this morning. Start thinking about what you can do. Write down some of the stuff we said and start researching and go around your house. What do you need to keep? What can you afford to get rid of? What are you investing in? Are you investing at all? And how can you today save a few dollars? If you're used to going out every day and buying this or buying that, what if you didn't for 2 days? And then compound that by 4 weeks. And then look at the month. Oh, I saved $250. Well, now multiply that by the year. And look at how much money you saved. Over $2,400 went back into your bank account because of something you decided to do 2 days a week. It always can get better if you take the time to work it out. Shamarko, as always, thank you for taking the time to be on the mark with us every other Tuesday and working it out here. And as always, blessings to you, brother, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, man. It's an honor always.
All right,
Blessings.
be well. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
That coming from Shamarko Thomas here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, Wake Up Call will be bringing you another segment you get bi-weekly every other Tuesday, and that is Sports Ends in a Vowel. And what that means is two people talking about sports, both Italian. That's as simple as it is. Sports ending in a vowel. Gina Castelli, myself, Dan Tortora, inside the Cafe Cubal studios right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, with another crucial topic, how to coach today's student athlete, right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand butter chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be here with you inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Of course, we are here on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, hanging out here, as I said, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal with locations on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, as well as 401 South Salina Street and 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse, and their newest location where we started off this beautiful week, which was on-site on location at the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in the first ever Cafe Kubal drive-through location. Got to spend some time out there with CNS Athletics Director Tim Bednarski, and we appreciate his time and everything that he's doing for CNS and everything he's done for the last year and a half with his team. As he said, he doesn't take all the credit. He gives it to the superintendent and everybody working there and the nurses that they had and everyone delivering the information over this past year and a half. So a big thanks to the CNS community and to the Central and Upstate New York community in general. And speaking of the Central and Upstate New York community, one of my favorite people of the last decade in Central and Upstate New York is Miss Gina Castelli. And if I met her a decade ago, she would be one of my favorite people of the last 2 decades. Gina Castelli here with us. Sports Ends in a Vowel is our segment, and that truly means 2 Italians talking about sports. And we are here every other week, every other Tuesday, bi-weekly. So you hear us a couple times a month. And Gina and I have the opportunity to pick a topic every other Tuesday to talk about. And today's topic is one that is very much on my mind all the time, and that is how to coach today's student athlete. The current climate of student athletics. How do you coach kids today, and how much different is it from 10 years ago, 5 years ago? And so there's 20 years ago. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about, and Gina has had an illustrious career as a collegiate coach, and so she can definitely give us an opportunity to lend an ear to someone who has a lot of information, knowledge, and wisdom over time to really speak on this subject. So with that being said, let's bring her in. Gina, how you doing today?
Good morning, Dan. I'm doing great. Thank you very much. First, congrats to Italy, right? We got to congrats Italy for. And don't ask me about the game. I didn't watch it.
Well, I am here in the studio with my Italy soccer ball that I bought years ago, and so I have that with me. I brought it to Cafe Kubal yesterday for the live show, and I wore my Italy jersey yesterday for the show, and on social media on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Anyone that was on there got to see my video of going absolutely nuts within seconds of them winning. So
I saw it.
So I
like your jersey.
Thank you. I'm very happy. Donnarumma came through, and all I'm going to say is the goalkeeper that blocked those last 2 goals number is 21, and that's also my favorite number. So
really,
I
did see the highlights, which was really cool. I was not able to watch the game though, so great for Italy.
I will tell you that Italy. This is what I wanted. I was like, if so, Italy and Spain, 2 pieces of my heritage, were in the Euro 2020s. And so I didn't care who won as long as one of them did, because it would have meant something to my family, would have meant something to me. So I have Italy in the semis playing Spain, and I'm losing my brain, and I'm going, okay, I don't care who wins as long as this game takes like 6 hours. And it was first period, second period, extra period 1, extra period 2, penalty kicks. And I was like, I got out of it exactly what I asked for. And then Italy in the championship in England, played at Wembley Stadium in London, so it's a home game for England. Italy wins in extra time, in penalty kicks. So playing first period, second period, 2 extra periods, and then the penalty kick freaked me out. They make the first, they miss the second. England makes the first 2. Now England has the advantage. Italy comes up, they make their third, so now they're 2 of 3. And then on the third attempt, Donnarumma is there in the box, and the guy stops and hesitates before he goes to kick from England, and Donnarumma shows that he's going to cheat right. And so then he kind of exposes himself, he's going right, and then the guy kicks left, and Donnarumma still goes right. It hits the post, bounces out, no goal. So now it's back equal. Italy has the advantage to take on the fourth kick. They go up there, and they make, I think they made the fourth one. Yeah, they made the fourth one. And then Donnarumma blocks the last 2. And what started out as a nightmare with England making their first 2 and really catching Donnarumma being in the wrong spots, what turned out to be, what originally was very, very scary and thinking, okay, well, you miss your second one. If England makes them all, it's over, and hoping that they miss, and then seeing Donnarumma just adjust and defensively block out the last 2 after the one hit the goalpost and really helped them out on a play that Donnarumma was way off on. To know how it started and to stay faithful and to stay confident and to know how it ended, I legitimately, very passionately and very amazingly and beautifully lost my mind on Sunday, and I'm so happy that it happened. And I have 2 Euros from Spain in the last few years. I have 1 from Italy. I have 2 World Cups in the 21st century, 1 from Italy, 1 from Spain, 2006 and 2010, back to back respectively. Every 4 years I'm playing. So I have honestly. I've seen so many championships with Italy and Spain lately. I'm a spoiled man. So I just hope we keep winning, and I just hope that at some point I'm close enough to somebody on a team where I get a ring. That's all I want. So.
Oh, well, that was a great replay. I could picture it in my mind. So you should do that for a living.
Yeah, I should think about commentating or broadcasting. It's something that maybe it'll work out someday. I don't know. But no, it to replay that, and that's the thing I love about radio is like it's my job to paint a picture. Like I have to make you see it. And that third goal attempt by England where Donnarumma stuttered and he went, when he showed he was going right, I'm like, oh no. And then he still went right. When it hit that goalpost, I screamed. I was my dog was behind me on the bed, and she's sleeping, and she's like about to fall asleep, and then I jump off the bed and scream, and then she's like, what's going on? And then I'd be quiet again, and I'd jump off and scream again. So seeing Italy win is such a beautiful thing, and it shows that for the Euro 2020s, sports truly does end in a vowel. So
there you go.
Yeah, I'm very happy. So you didn't watch the game, but obviously you brought it up. You're happy for Italy. So when Italy's playing in tournaments, you got a little bit of an ear to the ground, I guess.
Absolutely. I have cousins, I saw my mom's family all lives in Italy. So, we have a lot of cousins and they're all on WhatsApp. And so it's been fun following them. That day also in Wimbledon was an Italian tennis player that was playing for the finals. So it was a big day on WhatsApp for us. So so even though I couldn't watch the game, I was following it, through the lives of my cousins, and it was pretty cool. It's how happy, and it's nice to almost feel like you're right there because my family is from there, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing to see, and I was wondering why I couldn't, like in my mind right now, I need to go to Italy and I need to wear a flag. I have an Italian flag that I can put around me like a cape, and I feel like I need to run through the streets of Italy right now, run from the Vatican to Rome and all over, different parts. I feel like I need to do the Italian tour. And, the thing is, I'm 5'8". This is what I don't get. I played basketball and I can shoot. I can shoot from anywhere on the court. I know that. But I worked on it and God gave me the talent and I honed the talent. But I hated to run. So as much as I could shoot, I hated to run. And so I would practice my shot almost daily. But if you put me on a track, I wanted to throw up. There's no part of me that wanted to ever run on a track. Now I do cardio, and I'm like, you know what, Dan, if you had done this back then, but here's my thing and here's my point. I'm 5'8", so I got recruited D3. Maybe I could have gotten recruited D2 at 5'8", shooting threes and whatnot. But if I played soccer, I would have been the perfect height. 5'8" is fine. so I'm sitting here going, why did I never touch a soccer ball? And then when I finally did, I'm playing with it in the street, and my feet are doing things I didn't teach them how to do, and I'm like, maybe this is like just an innate thing in like Spanish people and Italian people. Like, maybe this is what we're supposed to do. So I realized that I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe my kids will play soccer, and maybe I'll be a good coach, and maybe they'll play pro, and maybe I'll get to coach them somewhere, and so I'll get to connect with the game somehow. But I totally missed the boat on my feet. I've been using my hands in basketball, not knowing that my feet were, I got happy feet over here, and I wasn't using them. So, it's
well, we're still a little bit behind on the men's side with soccer, I think, in the U.S. So it's unfortunate. On the women's side, not so much. So that's probably why. And growing up in Syracuse, basketball's the sport. So.
Well, yeah, and growing up as a kid, there was nothing about soccer. Like when I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s, you played baseball, basketball, or both. Like that was my family. It was you're playing in Little League because my dad's like, I want you to give it a shot. And I got hit by a wild pitch right above my kidney. And I didn't play. And after that, when the doctor's like, yeah, if you got hit a little bit lower, this is what would have happened to you and this and that, and it freaked me out. But I was not into baseball enough to get hit by another wild pitch. But basketball-wise, like, you could hit me in the face with a basketball and I was going to keep playing. Like, I could not. I loved basketball from when I was a little kid. I played organized at 7. And I fell in love with the sport so much. And I would smirk. I would take a shot and make it. I'd take a step back. And then if I made it, I'd smirk. And then I'd go back a little bit farther. And I'd smirk. And I'd sit in the gym by myself all day. I'd go down to the public safety building. And my godfather would let me in there. So there's all these prisoners, there and whatnot. I'm up on the top floor in the gym. And I'm just shooting by myself. And I trained myself. My favorite shot was the corner 3. And it's the hardest one to make. And so my shot was a corner. I can make the corner 3. But then when I came out to I always call it the elbow, Gina. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I always call it the left elbow and the right elbow from the top of the key. I always call them the elbows. Am I right? That's my jargon. But
the top of the key, well, it's the elbows are just to the right of the free throw line.
Okay.
And to the left of the free throw line is what we would call the elbow.
Right, because when I'm shooting threes from, if you're at the top of the key and I'm on the left of the key or the right of the key, those are the shots that were always hard for me to take. And I always call them the extension of the elbow, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
So I was always taking shots out there, and I felt like the hoop was so much farther away than the corner. And so I had to train myself how to do that. And now, I look back on it, and I'm like, I love shooting threes. I shoot them all day. I shoot half-court shots. I have so much fun with it. But I just never wanted to run ever, and I was like the DH of basketball. Like let me shoot a 3 and I'll just stay here and wait for you guys to come back. And I loved playing defense, but in practice when they're like run suicides, I'm like, the fact that it's called a suicide makes me feel like it's something I shouldn't do. And I was so against it. And Gina, you're a different human being because you take care of yourself. You take care of health. It's important to you. You're not one of those players. I had a coach who was this obese human being, and he ate a Big Mac while he had us run suicides. So he's like scarfing this thing down, sweating while he's eating the Big Mac, hunched over. He can't even see his feet from looking down. And I'm looking at this guy going like, he's 300 pounds eating a Big Mac telling us to run for the next 10 minutes. And I could never justify in my head a coach who had no care for their body telling me that I have to condition myself. And so for someone who already didn't like running, when he was eating a Big Mac at 300 pounds, I'm like, I'm not going to run for this guy. But, I think, I don't know. How do you take that? Because as a coach, do you think that coaches, is it hard to get respect as a coach when you don't care about your own health? I mean, do you feel like that's an issue? Did you feel like that was something to you? Like, I never want to tell my players to do something that I wouldn't do, because, some coaches that, I grew up with really didn't take care of themselves, but they were very hard on us in our physical fitness.
Yeah, that's just a great segue into what we're talking about today. I think it's really important. For me personally, training was part of what I did, and so, I made it part of my lifestyle in the end, but what you're saying is really important to me, because I do think that if you're asking people to do something, then you also have to show it, in a leadership way. And, so if I'm asking kids to work hard, I'm going to be the hardest worker. If I'm asking kids to have a positive attitude, then I must have that as well. Because kids will always, they'll always point it out to you. And those are the things that give you the respect as a coach. I believe those are some of the things, not all of them, but those are some of the things that will give you the respect. So yeah, I do think that's really, really important. But I think that, for me, it was really just more important for me personally that I continued, a good, healthy lifestyle after I finished playing. I wanted to just stay in good shape. I think it was really important to me. So, but it's a really important piece to what you're saying for today.
Yeah, I mean, it's practice what you preach.
Exactly.
Exactly. When someone says you shouldn't smoke cigarettes, they'll kill you, and they're lighting up in front of you, nobody's listening. And I think that, I think it's so important that, you do practice what you preach, especially in today's world where everybody has a camera on their phone and everybody has a way to record. So, if a coach says to you, don't go out and get drunk and make a fool of yourself. Remember, you're representing the community. Well, guess what? If coach goes out and gets drunk, somebody out there is going to pick up that video and they're going to share it to the world, and they're going to say, hey, you know what, coach? And then you're going to come into practice Monday morning, and they're going to turn their phone over and say, coach, you're trending on Instagram. You told us not to do this, and look at you. And I think now in today's world, you really can't hide. And, if you aren't who you say you are, someone's going to figure that out, and it's going to be almost instantaneous. You don't have to be a Kardashian for somebody to know your whereabouts. And I think that, we used to think that way. Oh, if you're Michael Jordan, if you're Nolan Ryan, if you're Joe Namath, then yeah, people are going to know what you're doing. But the reality of it all, I mean, if you're Serena Williams, people are going to know where you're at. I mean, that used to be the case, but now the case is, if you're a human being anywhere in society, somebody, and there's the notion that I believe, somebody is always watching. And you don't know if it's your cousin, you don't know if it's your brother or your sister, your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mom, your dad, your neighbor. Somebody is always watching. And I think if you live life in the sense of, what would I do if somebody could see me right now? Then would we do the things that we do sometimes? And I think in today's world, because you can't hide, it pushes people who are not authentic to be authentic. Maybe at first, not meaning so, or not really wanting to do it, but feeling forced to do it, and then hopefully growing into a better habit. But if you're not an authentic person in today's world, the world will find you out. They will seek you. It doesn't matter if your name is Joe Smith, and you'll be plastered all over the planet. So I think, really in today's society, with social media, with cameras on phones, with video opportunities and all of that, you really cannot hide. Everybody is a Kardashian in some way. and you have to be who you say you are, or else your consequences may be very great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do agree with that. You know, one of the things that we would talk about often, you know, in our program is, you know, what you post on social media, you know, in terms of especially college students. You know, your employer, your next employer, you know, can get on social media and just be very careful. It's not just what, you know, your mom would think about it or your coach would think about it, but, you know, it could mean your career too. And, you know, we see that a lot, you know, even when major pro players get, you know, sign contracts and people go back into their Twitter page and they've maybe posted some things that they shouldn't have, you know, 5 years before that. And, you know, I do think it's really important, but I also think there's a level of understanding and forgiveness with some people. You know, I don't think we can just totally, you know, judge their character based on a couple of things that they may have done. I think there's a balance with all of that. And as much as it really is important to me in terms of what kids post, I also know that, you know, when you're growing up, you don't always have the maturity to understand it at the time. And then 5 years later, you get it. And you might have to offer some apologies, but you can't crucify somebody just for, you know, a post that they put. And I think we have to be really careful with that. I think, you know, social media is really taken over, as we know. And I'm not somebody that's on social media often. You know, I do have my Instagram page and that's about it, you know, but what I see sometimes, even with, you know, some of my former players or, you know, maybe even, you know, my nephews or my niece, and sometimes I think, oh God, I wish they didn't post that. I also know that they're growing up and they're learning, you know, and they will understand later. And, you know, and maybe they'll look back and say, I wish I didn't, but hopefully when they look back, they've learned and they don't look back and punish themselves so much and, you know, and put themselves in this position where they can't get over it either, you know. So there's a fine line, you know, with it all. I think that's the most important thing. I mean, how we live our life is, you know, is our own personal thing. You know, we can't tell everybody how to live their life. All we can do is suggest, you know, some things. And, you know, but I do think in time, good people will follow through, like you say, in terms of authenticity.
Yeah, you can't hide who you are. And I have learned that in life is that whoever somebody says they are and who they actually are, you always end up figuring it out who they are. You know, I mean, everybody can say, who's going to come out into public and say, I'm a bad person, I'm a horrible person, I do bad things. But, you know, everybody says they're a good person, but you find out the reality when you know, it's time. And you're exposed to things when people, again, don't think anybody's watching, when people are left alone. And, you know, if somebody says they're patient, and then you put them in a situation where they have to wait on something and they're ridiculously not patient, then you realize that, you know, you realize who's telling the truth and who's not. You know, I think, you know, somebody says, put me in a pressure cooker and I'm going to handle it. And then, you know, they drop their phone behind their stove like I did a couple months ago. And I was like totally calm. You know, I was like, you know, I was thinking in my head, how am I going to get my phone out? Because I thought that it was a built-in stove. And the person I was on the phone with said to me, Dan, nothing is built in. They said, jimmy it a little bit and pull. I guarantee you it slid in and you could just slide it right out. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea. So I, you know, jimmied it and I pulled it out and I go, oh, there's my phone. But the thing that I found so interesting is the woman that was on the phone with me, she did not freak out. And anybody that I had ever dealt with, female of that age range, with the phone, if a phone fell an inch, let alone behind a stove, these people would have acted like there was a zombie apocalypse and something was eating their face. And so I said, why are you so calm? And she was like, because it's a phone. And I was like, yeah, but you're not freaking out. And she goes, because it's not a big deal and it's going to be okay. The thing that's funny is I'm on the phone with her when my phone falls through. I tell her as the phone is behind my stove and I'm in my kitchen, I go, hey, my phone. And somehow, this is the beauty of life. This is God. The phone falls. It doesn't crack at all. There's not a blemish on the phone. On top, and it's an iPhone. On top of that, and I don't have a screen protector. On top of that, the phone stayed on speaker. So I could hear her and she could hear me. And I said to her, my phone just fell behind my stove. And she just kept talking about the topic we were talking about before it fell. Oh, well, anyways, I was saying about when I used to go to this park and da-da-da. And I was like, why are you fine? And she's like, because why wouldn't I be fine? And I'm like, okay, so you're one of like 3 human beings on this planet that don't exist. I mean, but to see those situations of like, you know, people not freaking out over the phone and letting it be what it is and really realizing, I mean, all the stuff we're talking about today, now I'm thinking about it going behind the stove and I'm thinking to myself, I totally lost my train of thought because I realized that my phone could actually, like when I pulled that stove out and I saw my phone there, I'm like, I'm in my head thinking, do I get the giant fly swatter? Do I put it behind the stove and hit it? But I'm staying calm during the whole thing too because I don't freak out over, you know, and that's what I was talking about, people being who they are. I don't freak out. If a plane has turbulence, I'm like, okay, we're in the air. And then if it has a little more turbulence, I'm like, okay, well that's uncomfortable and I didn't really like that. But I'm not the type of human being to let little things bother me. My salad comes out and there's 2 croutons instead of 10. I don't, you know, I might say, hey, can I have a side of croutons? Very nice, whatever. I mean, I've seen people ruin their days on getting cut off in traffic, their salad wasn't right, somebody made their latte wrong. I mean, I've seen people just lose themselves, and I don't get mad over little things. I'm concerned with, like, my business, my being a dad someday, being a husband someday, my parents and their health and being well. Like, my concerns are very big ones. And, you know, like, oh my gosh, my favorite t-shirt has a rip in it. What will I do? Probably wear one of my other 900 favorite t-shirts. So I don't see the world in that way. But, you know, getting back to it, people show you who they are. And I think no matter what anybody says they are, when you put someone in a pressure cooker, they're gonna show you. And I think in the world we live in today, we see that on screen because everybody's filming everything. But at the same time, with everybody being a paparazzi, if you are who you say you are, you don't have to worry about the paparazzi.
Yeah, in terms of, you know, your pressure, you know, I said pressure always reveals your character, you know, and just recently, well, not recently, but more recently, I've played more
Call
golf.
DT.com, your one-stop sports shop. And
on
mixlr.com/wake-up call DT. I hope you're having yourselves a
because I was in a tournament on Sunday.
Fantastic morning this
it was raining, the conditions were poor, and then it got cold, and I wasn't playing well. And I was with some friends, and they are really good golfers, and the friends I was with, and we were driving back, and they're just like, I was like, I don't know if I should be in these tournaments, you know. But one of the things that I said that the reason why I wanted to be in it is because of how much it does reveal my character. And I feel that I'm doing golf right now more about helping me become a better person through pressure situations, because, you know, I mean, look, I've coached basketball for a long time, but I would have to absolutely say one of the toughest sports I've ever played is golf. And it, because it really does test you solely, individually, with pressure, with thinking, how can I not hit this ball? It's just sitting there, and how can I miss it? Or, or how come it's only going 2 feet? How come I didn't make this putt? And then when you put yourself in a situation where it's a tournament where you really do have to score a lot better than you are, it's really amazing to me how much it's revealed about myself. And so this is the reason why I'm doing it now, is more about that. Is, last year I was really getting upset at myself in certain situations, and I was thinking, wow, I don't get like this when I'm coaching. I don't get like this when I'm playing basketball. Why is it with golf? And obviously maybe I'm thinking I'm a better athlete than this. I should be better than this. And so, as much as, I do think that sometimes pressure during different times of your life, even though you're not like a certain way, usually it pops up in your character. You look like a much different person than you really have been. So it's been interesting. It's kind of interesting to see a different person sometimes, and it's like, wow, I gotta get myself together here, So
Yeah.
So I do believe in that, but I also think that there are always challenging times in your life that even the little things, the ripped T-shirt, could make you upset because of the situation. Maybe there's a tough situation that you're going through, during that time, that anything can tip you off in a sense. So it's really good conversation what you're saying. It's like, because as you grow older, you start seeing yourself in different ways, and you don't ever see yourself in these ways. And so for me in golf, I've been able to see a lot different personalities, the nicer side of me and the worse side of me, really, so it's good. It's good. It's good to kind of see where you can go and where you can grow as a person too.
Sports Ends in a Vowel, featuring Gina Castelli here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, bi-weekly on Tuesdays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, as we continue our conversation today. And Gina, one of the things that was said to me recently is when somebody said, I've never seen this side of me. This is the worst of me, or, what is bringing this out in me? Why is this happening? And I think you just described it. Some people think that, when they see this other side of them that they've never seen because they've never been in this situation before, and they say, oh my gosh, and I see it with people in a lot of different scenarios, but what was brought to my table was, well, is the person I'm around provoking me to be at my worst? And I said, no. I said, my belief is when the right person, the right people are around you and the right people love you, you show them your darkest sides, and you don't do it on purpose, but they see where you need work because they're the ones that can help you through it. And you're also most vulnerable around them. And I think people get nervous, like, oh my gosh, if I showed somebody my worst side, I got to run away from that person. If this thing brought out the worst in me, I got to do this. No. Working in my field, the media, as you know, are all upstanding citizens that tell the truth and are kind all the time, but some of them aren't. And obviously I'm being very sarcastic. But the reality of it all is a lot of the media, being in this world, for me, it brought out the worst in me. Mm-hmm. It brought out, just anger and rage that people could lie to people, that people could steal from people, that people, people get special treatment that treat people like garbage, and that somebody like me that respects people gets a door slammed in my face. And it was like opposite day sometimes every day, and having to deal with all this stuff. And it really compelled me to I was very stressed. And, I think one of my wake-up calls for me personally was somebody had done something very dirty to me in the athletics world and blocked me from being able to interview somebody. And there was no reason for it. I have a great relationship with the person that I would have been interviewing, and they blocked me for months. And they kind of utilized technology and like this whimsical, like, oh, I didn't see your name, or I didn't catch it, and played it off stupid. And when I tried to approach it as a respectful man, I was called unprofessional and disrespectful. I was asked to apologize. And I remember being on the phone with my mom that day, and I was so heated, and I felt my heart, and I felt sick, and I felt my body being very unhealthy. The next day I went to my heart doctor, and my heartbeat was irregular, and they sent me to the emergency room because they thought I had a heart attack. And I didn't. There's nothing wrong with my heart, thank God. Not even a little bit. And, you know, and I found out that my heart really does beat to a different drum, in its own irony. But being in the situation that I was in, every time I get stressed out about people doing those things, I go back to standing on that corner, talking to my mom on the phone, having every reason to be upset, but letting that upset behavior stress me out and letting it get me to that point, and thinking to myself, if I had had a real heart attack, do I really want to give this person credit for giving it to me? And it really, to me, I think when you love something and you care about something, it does bring out the worst in you, be it professional or personal, because when you care about something, the threat of losing it, the threat of it not working, the threat of not getting to do something you wanted to do, it exposes kind of your weakest points, but at the same time, it also exposes to you what you care about. And I look at things in a positive aspect, and I say, you know, if something brings out the absolute worst in you, and you care about it so much, then that's compelling you to show you that this is something that's really valuable. And you have to figure out how to use that energy in a better way. And I think for me, because I care about the world so much, I care about people, I care about what I do for a living, that the people that I love so deeply have always seen me at my worst, because they know how much I care, and they know how much things mean to me, and they know how I have a Captain America complex, and I constantly have to see good things happening, and when bad things happen, I can't look down an alley and see somebody getting attacked and keep walking. That's not me. And so, you know, I think we learn in life that when you do care the most and about somebody or about something, it does bring out the worst in you. And like you said, people make mistakes. People might say something in a you know, a player their whole life has cared about playing D1 ball, and they get to the D1 level, and the coach leaves, and the coach lied to them, and they put something out on Twitter, and it makes coaches think that they can't trust this kid. But nobody knows this kid's story. Nobody knows how hard he fought. Nobody knows his mother died on the way and never got to see him play. And so this coach lying to him was compounded like the T-shirt, where it was never about the T-shirt. It was about everything it took to get there, and putting faith and trust in somebody. And that kid puts out a tweet in 2007, and in 2021, everybody's saying that this kid's a horrible person. I think we need to look at the fact that the things that really matter to us do bring out the worst in us, and sometimes we don't have that control in the moment to not say something stupid or do something stupid. And in a world of social media, it's so easy in the moment. I can't tell you how many posts I've gone to write and then you delete them, because in the moment you're just so upset that something could be happening and you want to talk about it. I did it yesterday. I was like, you know, this is on my mind, and why would somebody do this? And I wanted to write it. And, you know, and sometimes we don't catch ourselves, because if you're a caring person, you struggle with that. And I think in social media especially, you know, we have to understand that as human beings, when we care about something professionally or personally, sometimes it does bring out the worst in us, and everybody makes mistakes. And I think that people need to have forgiveness. I think condemning somebody for a comment, you know, that they made when they were upset at a person 10 years ago, and holding that against them for the rest of their life. I mean, and if everybody held something against somebody who did something or said something wrong, not a single one of us would be without a blemish. None of us would be able to move forward, and every single one of us would be guilty.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I know there was a lot I just packed in there, but I think it's so imperative to get to our topic of how do you coach an athlete today. How do you be a human being today is almost the bigger picture. How do you live in a world where anything you say and anything you do can be commented on, and you want to share the world, your thoughts. I mean, for goodness sake, somebody wants to post a picture of their baby and then somebody comments that's a fat and ugly baby. You know what I mean? Like, we're making fun of babies now. I mean, it's gotten to the, or there's people that say, hey, before you post a picture of my baby, can you ask my permission? Other people are like, post everything. I just, how do you coach an athlete? But how do you coach a person? How do you tell a person what to do in a world that is following their every move? And God forbid they have a bad day and their shirt ripped and they lost their job and it's raining and they decide to post something on Twitter, and then 14 years from now, some idiot that was bored that day took a screenshot of it, and here it is to haunt them 14 years later. I just think it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you told me what our topic was going to be about, I feel like, I've been coaching, I don't know how many decades, and I feel like this question's come up a lot every 10 years. How do you coach the next generation kid, and to be perfectly honest with you, I thought to myself, I don't think I've really changed that much in how I've approached a kid or a person in terms of coaching. I've always approached it as, first of all, if we recruited this player, I love her, and I'm going to make sure I take good care of her. And, the thing for me that's really important is, and I certainly have evolved as a coach. I know I was a lot tougher in my earlier days. I was a lot younger, like we just said. I made mistakes in terms of, my approach and how I may have handled some situations with kids. But I've never wavered in terms of how I really feel what's important. And I do think it's really important to show a kid that you care. And it's you said it already, when you show someone you care, it comes back, I don't know how many times more. And I think that's the most important thing, but it's not an easy thing. It's not just like, okay, I'm going to show them I care. And, it's an everyday thing. It's just like a parent. And I think that the thing that's different, as you spoke about a lot, was the social media part to this, is that they could advertise, anything you say and anything you do, and everything's, everything becomes a media thing, but I do think that in general, kids are kids and people are people, and there's some real basic things that people are looking for, and they're looking for people to not judge them, and to find the goodness within them, and to find that. And I think when you find the goodness within someone, you work on that, and you speak to that kid, and so they know that there are some things about them that that we can build on, because whether they're a good basketball player or they're talented in how they write and communicate, those are the things that you constantly point to, the positives. And I think that's what's been the piece for me that's been most important in coaching, because I think once they see that, there's less of things on social media, because they love you too and they don't want to hurt you. And I think it's just how do you treat a human being? And I think that's the most important thing. There's nothing different, to how you want to treat your kid to how you want to treat the kid you're coaching. In my opinion, people are people. They're God's children. They're, so we want to treat them with love. And does it always show like that? No, maybe it's a lot more tough love. And I think you need that in parenting. And I think you need that in coaching too. And sometimes in coaching, it might come across a little bit tougher than it should be, but ultimately, the more times you show a person you love them, and what you say and how you act towards them, the less times and the more times they'll show you that love back. And so I think that's the most important thing to me. And then after that, I think everything that we spoke about even last week, and today is just, if you want them to work hard, you have to work hard with them and for them. If you want them to respect you, you have to respect them back, and you have to treat them fairly. And that's probably one of the best compliments I got in my days working at Lemoyne is one of my players wrote me a letter, and she said, the one thing I can say about you is that you've treated all of us equally and fairly. And I thought, wow, I've really I've come a long way as a coach, because I think in the beginning, especially when you're younger, you can play favorites and show sides, and I really worked hard to not do that, because I think that's really important, and kids see through that, and they see through it with their parents, and so I think it's all the same, and little by little they begin to trust you more, and the more that kids can trust you, the better it's going to be in terms of how much you can get them to reach their full potential, because they'll believe in you, they'll try the things that you're asking them to do. They'll do less of the things that are going to poison them as players and as people. And to me, that's what's most important. I don't know if I have the exact science for teaching today or coaching the kid today. I really fundamentally believe that, we were all there at one point. We all had our thing, we didn't I didn't grow up with social media, but we all had something during our time that was a little bit more difficult for our parents, to deal with. And now there's a lot more. I know there's a lot more, but I do think that, I think it all starts with love and spending the time with them.
Yeah, and the best way to ask, when you ask somebody to do something, the best way to really get them to do that is to do that with you. And, and like you said, when you ask something of somebody, that you're willing to give it. And I think that's the only way to live. I can't ask anything of any human being that I'm not willing to give myself. If I say, you need to sacrifice, and I never sacrifice, well, then I'm not doing my job. If I say, well, you need to listen, but I don't listen, or, you need to be open to this or open to that, it's, I can't tell my mom to go to church if I don't, and I think that for me, setting examples when I say, hey, I go to church, I pray, I have faith in God. It was funny that somebody called me out one time, and rightly so, years ago. They said, for someone that asks everybody to have faith and really brings faith to people, you bring God to people, you help people to believe. For somebody that talks about faith so much, you need to have more. They were saying, when push comes to shove, where is your faith? Where is your trust that things are going to work out? And I think that really compelled me to think about that. I'm out here, and people in the world are saying, Dan, because of you, I trust God. Because of you, I pray. And I'm sitting here going, but do I really trust when I do it? And I think, I think it's, it's great to be a car salesman, but do you leave on a boat? And, that's kind of the thing is I tell people all the time, and I'll put up on the screen right now, the companies that I work with, and obviously Mother's Cupboard will be added to this as well. I go to these places. I ate at Mother's Cupboard yesterday. I drank at Cafe Cubal. I got my chai yesterday. Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub. My car is a Honda. Victory is where I go for my knee. Chick-fil-A, Avicolli's, all places I eat at. Canine Camp, Dog Daycare, and Canine Campground, Dog Boarding. I've bought something at this place or had them watch Lily. PB&J's Lunchbox, Millhouse Market, I go there all the time. I have Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn in my house right now. And Pizza Man, I think, has the best wings in the area. So, so for me, I can't sell it if I don't live it.
Exactly.
And for me, I think the best way to, like you said, you haven't really coached student athletes differently over time, over decades. And I think what that speaks to is, yes, technology has changed things. Yes, people may seem, and this is the thing, people may seem more hateful, people may seem more selfish, people may seem more righteous, people may seem more unfair, people may seem more naive. But are they more naive? Are they more hateful? Are they more selfish? Or is it just because social media is here that we see more people's opinions? Does it stand to reason that 30 years ago, people were just as selfish, we just didn't hear their opinions? So I'm a firm believer that the way that my company survives and thrives, and the way that a coach survives and thrives, and the way a spouse survives and thrives, and the way that a parent speaking to their kid or a teacher, I'm a firm believer that if you are a good person, you tell people the truth, you're not willing to ask something of somebody you're not willing to give yourself, you try, you're good, you're kind, you're faithful, you're loving, you're caring. I honestly believe that honest people who do things for positive reasons, who love God, who care about others outside of themselves, I know the way my company will never fail. And I said this before. They said with technology and with all this stuff going on and everybody thinks they're a broadcaster and you're one of a million voices, how do people get to you? How do people find you? I said, well, first and foremost, I trust God, because I trust that he'll bring to me what I can't control. Number two is, why will they find me? Because being an honest person who is a consistent person, who has faith, who has love, who is who they say they are and cares about people, I have seen when the world shut down, I gained people. When the world shut down, I gained partnerships in the community. I came out of this pandemic with more now than I've ever had. And so I am a firm believer that you don't have to teach kids different. You don't have to date people different. You don't have to be a business owner different. If you're a caring, loving person who tells the truth and are who they say they are, that is the one thing that will make you relevant in every era, in every decade, in every century, in every part of the world. That if God picked you up today and dropped you back in the 10th century, and you're honest and you're good and you're true and you're loving and you're faithful and you care, you're not going to fail then any more than you're not going to fail now. And so I think the way to be a good coach today and not have to change with the changing times is honesty, consistency, love, passion, care, concern, and being exactly who you say you are. Those are the things that will never, ever, ever have an expiration date on the back of them.
That's beautiful. That's good. I'm writing notes down here, Dan. I like it, and I agree, and I totally agree. I think there's some basic things that social media cannot touch, and you just said it: honesty, consistency, love, respect. I mean, those are things that they're just basic needs, human needs that we all need, and when we have them, nothing can touch it. It's the kryptonite. It's the social media kryptonite. So, and that's what's most important. And and again, going back from the very beginning, I think it's really important to understand that people do make mistakes. We all do, and what we're trying to do because of the passion we have, and we're trying so hard to make things right, that maybe we don't always do the right thing, but our intent is pure, is really, and that's really what that's about. And that's how I feel coaching can succeed, for long periods of time.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that, you don't have to worry about the cameras if you are who you say you are. Exactly. And I value genuine behavior and genuine people, and you can always sniff it out. And I think, because it's you got to think about it this way. Somebody being something that they're not is someone always staying in character as if they're in a movie role. How hard is it to wake up in the morning and automatically be in character before you do your makeup, before you do your hair, before you take a shower, before you brush your teeth? How hard is it for you to stay in character at all times? Eventually, you break character. I do impressions all the time. I do impersonations of Mickey Mouse to Arnold Schwarzenegger to Donald Trump to, you name it. I'll throw it out to Bane from Batman. There's so many things, Joe Pesci, that I love to do, but it would be extremely hard for me to be Joe Pesci if you woke me up in the middle of the night. It'd be extremely hard for me to be Joe Pesci when I'm exhausted, when I'm tired, when I'm in the middle of something, when I'm chasing around my kids someday, and somebody's like, be Joe Pesci in the moment forever. And, I'm trying to make sure that my kid gets in their high chair. It is so hard to stay in character. Eventually somebody will break it. Eventually someone will break character because you cannot always stay, Tobey Maguire could not always be Spider-Man. And, and bless him in heaven, Christopher Reeves was not always Superman. So, I think that if you just pay enough attention to people, they will show you exactly who they are, because nobody can stay in character forever. And I think the beauty of that is if you are who you say you are, nobody has to wonder what you're going to look like the day they break it, because it can't be broken, because it's you. And I think for me, people say, you don't take on a role when you go on the air. And I said, I know. I left a radio show that asked me to. They said, we all have roles here like Seinfeld. You got to be basically the ignorant kid. And I was upstaging someone in their 60s and someone in their 40s because I took an opinion that they didn't like, but I had justification for it, and I guess they weren't ready for the justification. I defended Tim Tebow, and they didn't like that. And I knew kind of where they were going to go, so I anticipated their move like chess. And I said, okay, you're going to say he's this, this, and this, and I'm going to refute it. We went to a commercial break, and it was like, you're not supposed to make us look stupid. And I said, well, maybe you should just do your research. So to me, they said, if you're going to stay on the show, essentially, you have to be the ignorant, dumb kid. And I thought to myself, if I parade myself, even for a day like that, and someone hears me one time and says, I'm never going to listen to this kid again, he doesn't know what he's talking about, I could lose a listener for the rest of my life. I could lose a supporter for the rest of my life. And so I have to be me. And what I love is when I shut the mic off, I'm the same guy. And I don't have to, I never get off the air and go, oh my gosh, what did I just say? Because it's me. And I think being genuine in today's world, being who you are, if you are a good person, it will show. If you're not, it will show. And you don't ever have to worry about what you do behind closed doors if you're not doing anything. When I'm behind closed doors, I'm praying. When you're behind closed doors, if you're throwing skeletons in a closet, then yeah, you should worry. But, I'm a firm believer that what does it matter if it's not bad? And so, if you're so worried about today's world and how do I do this and how do I do that, it's a miracle to me that during a pandemic, people spent money to work with my business. Why is that? I would say it's honesty, integrity, humility, belief in what I'm doing, being who you say you are. Why do people get raises and move up? Why did one of my closest friends that I consider a brother move up in a company in such a grandiose way at a time where the entire world didn't know what to do next? Because he is who he says he is. And he built those relationships and those bonds. Why, Gina, are you so well respected that I sat down last week with Bob Beretta and he couldn't stop saying positive things about you? It's because you are who you say you are. And I think that it's so easy to build obstacles like, oh, there's a pandemic, or oh, there's this, or oh, there's that. Well, why do people succeed in a pandemic, succeed in a crisis, succeed in 2008 when there was a huge economic disaster? Why do people succeed in the midst of a storm, it's because if you are who you say you are and those traits are good, that will always come through. There is nothing that can substitute, and you know this, going into a kid's home, sitting with their family, telling them what you want to do with their kid, telling them what you believe, telling them who you are, and then them knowing in their gut, in their heart, in their soul that they're telling the truth, and then seeing you do that for the next 4 years. Nothing can ever supplant honesty, integrity, and the want for you to bring good to the world. There's nothing that can oust that out of its seat. And so I think you know exactly what it takes to be a good coach. And if you're a good person and you do the right things, it's gonna come through, and you're always gonna be able to recruit, because there's flashy stuff, and there's this and that, and you can go here and get this jersey, and you can go here and we're around the corner from this amusement park, or we have this or we have that, and that's all smoke and mirrors. At the end of the day, people want to be around people that they can trust. People want to be around you. You don't lay in bed next to somebody that you don't trust. You don't eat dinner with somebody that you don't trust. You don't work for somebody that you don't trust. And so the reality of it all is, if you just are exactly who you say you are, and there's a lot of good that comes with that, you will always be able to run a business in today's pandemic, and you'll be able to figure it out. I can't tell you that I have this belief based on sheer faith and nothing else. I'm 9 years into my business, and I can tell you that believing in myself and being who I am and leading with moral and virtue, that is what got me to where I am today. Being one of the only honest people in the media, according to people that talk to me. I mean, I never thought that would be a thing, Gina. Mm-hmm. I never thought that somebody would say, well, you're one of the only people that I can trust with my story, so you're honest and I'm going to call you. I thought we were all supposed to be. So I guess when you really break it down, in the 50s, in the 2020s, in the 1910s, in the 46 BCs, if you're a good person and you treat people with respect and dignity, I think it's going to work out.
Yeah, that's the truth.
So I don't know how to say it any better than that. Gina Castelli, Sports Ends in a Vowel. Gina, thank you today for being a part of the show. I know I spent a lot of time kind of bringing my thoughts to it, but I hope that you found a place in this today, because this was a very important conversation.
Yes, thank you, Dan. I appreciate you and all that you give to our community.
So we'll talk with you soon. Bi-weekly Sports Ends in a Vowel. And in the meantime, go back and watch some more soccer footage. You have some work to do.
See you later.
All right, take
Bye.
care.
All right, bye.
Take care. That coming from Gina Castelli. We'll take a step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we'll be back in just a moment with the ingredients to success. We appreciate your patience as the ingredients to success round out every Tuesday show. And today we just, as we always do, under promise, over deliver, and gave you more than 2 hours today, as you should have. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll come back, and hopefully today's been enlightening. I think I just figured a lot of stuff out that I didn't figure out before this morning. So hopefully we help somebody else out there today.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecabal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpazsnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13, is worth the drive every single time. Download their app on the Google Play or Apple App Store, and you'll have their entire menu at your fingertips, as well as a map from your location to get to where they are. They make it so simple on the app that you'll have directions from wherever you are to get there, plus everything you need to know about everything they have, from their homemade breads and desserts to quinoa bowls, rice bowls, salads, brick oven pizzas, and their sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. Ingrained in our taste buds, ingrained in our families, ingrained in our community is the Millhouse Market. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And make sure you head out there to their drive-thru. You can grab your food and go without even having to leave the car. And you can also go inside of their general store and get local products from local companies. And, of course, you can dine in their restaurant indoors as well. And every single weekend, that restaurant changes their bistro menu, so you can get something new every weekend and something to always come back to. The Millhouse Market, worth the drive every single time. Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, is our home for our Liverpool Warriors athletic sports show, exclusively on site, on location, every single month at Avicolli's. You can come out there and see us on the pizza side, and open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. You can go to the pizza, more casual side. You can go to the fine dining, the bar, and the outdoor dining. 4 different ways to enjoy something that has been a staple in our community for decades, which is Avicolli's, the best veal parmesan I have found around, and so much more. You can also get them for takeout, delivery, and catering by calling 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. Make sure you make your way out there to the campground as well as the dog daycare. Open for you 7 days a week, including on holidays, to help you with your furry loving friends and taking care of them and making sure that they are safe and sound. Canine Camp Dog Daycare, there for you on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, and right around the corner on 242 Johnson Street. Canine Campground, which Lily loves to go to, the more extensive care, longer-term care, I should say, for your furry-loving friend. If you're going out of town, or you got something going on in town and you need someone to watch your pup for a couple days, they'll find you at the campground and take care of your puppy there for you, or your grown dog, whatever age, whatever breed, they're there for you on 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse. PB&J's Lunchbox, home of the award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is fantastical. PB&J's Lunchbox is that food truck that you have followed around Central and Upstate New York for years. And now you can follow them right to the Street Side Cafe Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., breakfast, lunch, and dinner served all throughout the day. Get whatever you want. Breakfast for dinner, dinner for breakfast, lunch for dinner, lunch for breakfast, breakfast for lunch. I think I've covered them all. Dinner for lunch, there you go. So PB&J's Lunchbox, you can find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Minutes from the Thruway, the Highway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway. PB&J's Lunchbox, 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, located on 791 West Genesee Street in Skinny Atlas. Minutes from the beautiful and pristine lake that is Skinny Atlas. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is the place that takes you step by step en route to your own personal victory from your injury. Be it preventative care, rehab, and physical therapy, or surgery, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics listens to their patients, cares about you, and brings you through a process to not only get better, but to understand what it takes to get better. We know that victory is not something that happens overnight, but it does happen when you head out to the great people led by Dr. Mark Petropoli at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, helping me for almost a decade, and they can help you today, really from head to toe, whatever injury you may have by calling 315-685-7544. That's 315-685-7544. Back here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. It is time to get into the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. So, the ingredients to success. Every week I pick a topic, and I pick its ingredients to success. Today's topic is don't ask somebody for something you're not willing to give. That's today's topic. Don't ask for something that you're not willing to give. And the ingredients to success for that are pretty simple. Be who you say you are. Understand what you ask for. And check yourself. You know, we constantly have to check and balance ourselves. I think if you don't, then you're missing the 8 ball. If I ask somebody to show up on time and I show up 10 minutes late to everything, guess what? Little by little, and I've seen this theory proven in my life, if I tell someone to be on time and I'm constantly late, guess what they start being? Late. Because people are not going to do something that you ask them to do that you're not willing to do. That's reality. And so if you want people to be on time, you have to be on time. If you want respect, you have to give it. If you want trust, you have to give it. And I think that, you know, what I've realized in life is if I want somebody to stand by a contract, then I have to stand by it. If I want someone to listen to me, I have to be willing to listen. So don't ask anything of anybody that you're not willing to give. And it's easy to push people away that contest that about us, right? It's easy when somebody calls us out to just run and hide. You know, I'll just find somebody else and hopefully they won't figure me out. I'll just find somebody else, hopefully they won't figure me out. But that doesn't work. Because if I'm late, let's say I have a boss and I'm late and they fire me. And I go, well, you know, it really wasn't my fault. They were just a bad boss. They were too hard on me. I go to the next boss, I'm late, they fire me. I go to the next boss, I'm late, they fire me. I go to the next boss, I'm late, they fire me. At what point do I realize that I'm being fired because I'm late? So, you know, you really genuinely, and I don't respect bosses and coaches that showed up late when they told us to be there. You know, there's a certain institution that I've worked with over the years, and they'll be an hour late in setting something up, and they never apologize. Hardly ever. And they make us wait and make us wait and make us wait. And then there's a day I come in and I'm 10 minutes late, and they're like, oh, we already started. And I'm like, okay, you already started, but I was 10 minutes late. You were an hour and a half late, and there was no apology. And you didn't care that you didn't start on time. So you start to lose respect. I remember showing up and sitting there and waiting for my coach, and my coach showed up late. And after a while, I was like, why do I need to show up at 7 o'clock? My coach never shows up at 7 o'clock. Shows up at 7:10, 7:15, 7:23, 8 o'clock. You know? And so I think what we need to really realize in life is this topic of don't ask for something you're not willing to give. If you can't trust anybody, don't ask them to trust you. If you don't respect other people, don't ask them to respect you. If you don't believe in God, don't tell them that they have to. You know, or, you know, I mean, I think for me, you have no leg to stand on, right? If you're seeking to make change in anything, if you're seeking to help your spouse be a better person, you have to be willing to let you be a better person. Whatever you want, you have to be willing to give. If you don't give your time, but you want people's time, not fair. If you nickel and dime everybody, but you hate when people nickel and dime you, not fair. Because eventually, I believe God evens everything out. And he shows you who you are. You know, And I think God, in my life, if God says, hey, you ask somebody to trust you, but you're not trustworthy, or you don't trust them, then, he calls me out and says, hey, listen, you don't want this, but you gave it. So until you stop giving it, you can't, you know what I mean? Like, you can't ask for something you're not willing to give, and you can't say to somebody, don't give this to me if you're giving it to them. You can't tell a person, don't swear at me, if when you get heated, you swear at them. And I'm a check and balance of myself. I also believe in God. I also pray. I also go to church. So that helps me be a check and balance even more so. And I read the Bible. So I have to be a check and balance. I have to check myself. I do sit there, during the day. I don't wait until the nighttime. In the morning, noon, night, doesn't matter. I'll sit there and say, hey, you know what? I got really mad when that person showed up an hour late to my meeting. But then yesterday I was 10 minutes late to my meeting. So an hour and 10 minutes is not different. Late is late. So I need to be better at that, right? I can't be mad. I can't be mad about someone being late to my meeting today because I was late yesterday. If anything, it's a wash. Neither one of us is right, but I don't have a leg to stand on because I was late as well. I can't tell people to work out if I sit on the couch and never work out. And like somebody told me years ago, ye of little faith. You tell everybody to have faith and you preach faith, but do you have faith in God when push comes to shove? Do you believe that he'll come through for you and that the right things will work out? So my ingredients to success for you today is for you to look at your life and ask yourself the question, are you asking people to do things for you that you're not willing to do for them? And does that say something about them, or does that say something about you? And I don't think it takes that person out of your life. I think if my mom says to me, hey, Daniel, be on time, I don't take my mom out of my life because I'm like, well, I don't want to deal with her saying that, or I'm not willing to give her that. If I'm not willing to sacrifice for anybody, I'm not being a good person. If I'm not willing to trust, I'm not being a good person. If I'm not willing to respect, I'm not being a good person. If I'm not willing to have faith, I'm not being a good person. If I'm not willing to be on time, I'm not being a good person. If I'm not willing to be who I say I am, I'm not being a good person. And so often we blame it on the person across from us, right? Because they're the ones that we're seeing that with. Well, I can tell you that my friends sacrifice time. When I need them, they sacrifice their time. If I turn around and said, well, Evan, I'm not willing to sacrifice my time, but you're willing to sacrifice yours, so obviously we shouldn't be friends. I shouldn't be anybody's friend in that case. I should be nobody's friend. Because who am I going to find who's going to sacrifice their time and never ask me to sacrifice my time? I have friends that are extremely giving, but there's times where I know they need me. And I'm talking about myself and I'm talking about my issues and my day, and I'm sitting here going, Dan, you can hear what's going on in their life. You need to stop talking right now. You need to ask them how their day is going. Because they're not going to do it because they're such a good person, but they need you to ask them. They need somebody to ask them how their day is going. Because they're hurting. I had one of my friends call me up that I haven't seen in months, maybe once or twice in the past year. We haven't talked on the phone in weeks upon weeks upon weeks. And they call me out of the blue because they had a crisis in their life and they called me and they needed me to listen. And I had a crisis in my life at the exact same time. And guess what I did? I didn't talk about it because they needed me. But if I turn around and said to them, I'm not willing to give you my time, I only want you to give me your time, and they say no, and I go, well, then get out of my life, that's ridiculous. That would mean that I would never be able to have any friends. I would never get married. I would never have any business partners. You have to be willing to give to people what you want. You can't take something and not be willing to give it back. That's not how life works. I mean, and if that's how you live your life, I've seen people do that. They're very lonely. Because eventually they lose everybody. Nobody wants to deal with a person who's not willing to give. And I serve a God that only gives. So when God seeks something from me, I shouldn't question it. I should give it to him. If God says to me, hey, be patient, okay, hey, I need you to trust me. Go down this street. I know it looks bleak and I know it looks scary, but you got to trust this street. Okay, we're going down the street. So my ingredients to success for you today are to really look at your life and ask yourself the question, am I asking things of people I'm not willing to give myself? It could be small, it could be huge. But are you asking for things you're not willing to give? That says everything about you and nothing about them. Because is this the right boss? Is this the right husband or wife? Is this the right church? Is this the right whatever? Is this the right, this, that, up and down? Is this the right friend? Asking that question when somebody asks us to only give back what they've given us, there's nothing wrong with that church, that business, that friend, that boyfriend, that girlfriend, that husband, that wife. Everybody should want to be treated the way that they treat somebody. And if you don't treat somebody good, then you need to change that. Because if you show up late to work every day, people think the worst of you. If you are never reliable, people stop relying on you. And if you turn around and say, well, I'm getting rid of my boyfriend and all my friends because they say I'm unreliable, that's you running away from the truth. And you're only going to have another boyfriend and new friends that are going to leave you because you're unreliable. And eventually it'll click, but how many people did you lose, and did you lose the best of them? We have to live life like today is our last day. Like this breath is our last breath. So if you're willing to lose greatness, to be stubborn, to be naive, to be one-sided, be my guest. But if you're not willing to lose the blessings that God gives you, do something about it. I know my flaws and I know my habits. And I know I can break them. So if I'm dating a girl who says, Dan, you need to be on time, and I go, I'm breaking up with you because you're willing to give me time and I'm not willing to give you... No. Because you know what the next girl is going to say? You're late. I think we need to realize those things. And I think we need to understand that we think it's people bringing out the worst in us. No, we're bringing out the worst in us. The people that love us are the ones that are trying to help. And usually we yell at the people, we leave the people, and we fight with the people that are trying to make us better human beings. Because it's never easy to look in the mirror. And I'm speaking from, I fought with my parents more than I fought with anybody. I argue with them. And you know what? They were trying to help me be a better person. And I wasn't listening. And nowadays, my dad and I can have an argument. Like my dad and I yesterday were having a discussion. And I didn't understand something. So I'm getting amped up like this doesn't make sense. And him and I are going back and forth. And he's like, all right, I'm going to bed. And then I just joked with him, and I was like, no, you go to bed. He's like, no, you go to bed. And I was like, well, get off the phone. He's like, well, then you get off the phone. And we laughed because we could get amped up, but I know that my father was trying to compel me to be the best person I can be. And when he was trying to compel me to be the best person I could be, I figured it out. And instead of going to bed mad at my father, I went to bed telling my father I love him. And I went to bed checking myself. You know what? Did some of the things I say, did some of the things my dad say, was it right? Did it make sense? Was I mad that he was right? Because so oftentimes we confuse that. We're mad when somebody sees the truth because we don't want to see it. And I think that the best people in our lives bring out the worst in us because they're trying to make us better. And I think we have to only be willing to give and take the same. And if you take more than you give, that says nothing about anybody around you. It says something about you and how you need to fix something. Because I can't ask anybody to give me more than I give them. I can't. Because in my gut, I'll know that I'm wrong. And I'm not willing to lose the people that I love the most because I'm stubborn or because I don't want to see the truth. I hate being late. I loathe being late. But you know what happens when I'm late? I have to not be late. And you know what makes me feel better about being late? Not being late. It's the only thing that makes me feel better. Nothing else makes me feel better about being late. So, be the best you can be. Check yourself and realize that those that love you the most are usually the ones that are bringing out the worst in you and the best in you because they only want to see you succeed. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, tomorrow is a big day. There's a lot of new commercials that are being unveiled on the show in our fast break. I'm ecstatic about that. One of them had kind of a soft opening, but all of them are going to appear tomorrow. One of them being Mother's Cupboard. And I am honored and privileged that we get to work with Mother's Cupboard. One of the greatest restaurants in the country, and one of the most notable, if not the most notable one that we have in our community of Central and Upstate New York. Home of the whole frittata. You say frittata, you say fritta, I say frittata. There's 3 different ways to say it. You still have to find a way to eat it at Mother's Cupboard. 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. We are up to something, and if you're following my social media, I'm sending very cryptic messages about the Wake Up Call menu item that's going to be coming out very, very soon. I can't wait to bring it to you. I'm taste testing it today, and I look forward to bringing it to you very soon, as well as our food challenge monthly and so much more. Shout out to Mother's Cupboard, being a staple of Central and Upstate New York. They're a part of us. They're a part of the fabric of our community, and I'm so happy they chose to be here. Home of the whole frittata and so much more. 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York, and home of these massive, massive pancakes. And I love my pancakes, and they're awesome. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, proudly bringing you today the list of topics on the mark bi-weekly with, or I should say bi-monthly. I've been saying bi-weekly. I meant bi-monthly. Pardon me on that. Bi-monthly, every other Tuesday with Shamarko Thomas. Today we talked about how to be financially responsible and financially literate, which was great for athletes and for everybody in general. So you should go back and listen to it if you missed it. Or if you heard it, you should definitely keep it in your wheelhouse to go back to it. Sports Ends in a Vowel, speaking about how to coach today's student athlete. And if you are who you say you are and you're a good person and you lead with love, do you ever really have to change with the decade or the era or the century? And the ingredients to success. Don't ask anybody for something that you're not willing to give yourself. All of that brought to you inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, Golisano's Children's Hospital in downtown Syracuse. You'll find them in there as well. And shout out to everything Golisano does for our kids and our families. And may God bless us with miracles today to save lives of these beautiful children and these beautiful families. 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, at the where every road converges to welcome you into Manlius. You can't miss Cafe Kubal there. And, of course, their new location on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse at Sweetheart Corners, the first ever Cafe Kubal drive-thru, and you'll find them there today and all throughout the week. So, with that being said, find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, and on wakeupcalldt.com and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. I hope you have a fantastic day and that hopefully today opened your eyes and helps you to love your blessings a little bit more. Hopefully it helps you appreciate what God's given you, and hopefully you don't give up on something that's precious. Central and Upstate New York partners, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Avicolli's, Honda City of Liverpool, PB&J's Lunchbox, Mother's Cupboard, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Millhouse Market, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Use the promo code DT20 at maandpaspopcorn.com to get 20% off anywhere in America of all 50 states. And, of course, search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, on Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podbean, and more to get the show 24/7. And, of course, you'll find us here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on MixLR, Facebook, YouTube, and on wakeupcalldt.com. God bless, no stress, do your best. I hope today helped you, and I thank you for being here. I send you my love, my prayers, and my peace. Have a great day, folks. Stay joyful and stay blessed.